Hello, everyone. Very warm good evening to you on the 5th day of 6 days executive development program for you all. My sincere gratitude to ICAI President CA Nehar Jambusaria sir, ICAI Vice President CA Dr. Devashish Mitra sir, Secretary ICAI, Committee for Members in Industry and Business, with whose vision we are here together, who has launched this program under the leadership of Central Council members Chairman CA Hansraj Chuk sir and Vice Chairman CA Durgesh Kabra sir. For the last 4 days, we have covered diverse topics, and today we will be covering two things. First, the opportunities abroad, wherein our speakers will deliberate upon how the opportunities exist in different parts of the world. But with this one message which I wish to pass is that today we live in an era of large data available, and so many search engines allow us to search and also allow us to see the experiences of different members when they may have been looking for an opportunity. So remember that that is one source which will be always available at your disposal, and a good research can help you to decide what you wish to see for yourself in the future. And for 4 different fields, we will be having a second session with 4 speakers, experts in their fields talking about it. Let us move on to the panel discussion and allow me to introduce our moderator, CA Anish Mehta. CA Anish is a chartered accountant and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and is also an associate of Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. He also holds a cost accounting degree and a Bachelor of Commerce degree from India. Anish is the immediate past chairman of Dubai chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Prior to getting elected as chairman of the chapter, Anish has served the chapter in the capacity of vice chairman, secretary for 2 years. Secretary for 2 years, treasurer and executive member for 2 years in the managing committee of Dubai chapter. Anish is an audit director in the professional field in Dubai. He has over 20 years of experience in audit and assurance services, including 14 years in the Arabian Gulf, and joined the firm in Dubai after working with another Big Four firm in India for 7 years. Anish has significant experience in auditing entities of SMEs and large diversified business groups and consolidation of their financial statements. Anish's interest is in participating in social activities, including CSR activities, traveling, and playing outdoor games. Anish has spent long years in UAE, and I'm also in UAE for the past 14 years. And the place where I'm sitting today, the office of ICAI in Dubai, that is the place where Anish got connected in 2010-11 as a faculty for IFRS. Even though I was also coming here and volunteering, but we didn't got connected at that point of time. We got connected in 2012-13 when we got an opportunity to work together in the managing committee of Dubai chapter before I joined ICAI full-time as a regional director for Middle East and Africa. And that was the time when in the executive committee meetings, we used to sit together and we had a very strong friendship at that point of time, and since then I have been continuously working with Anish in different roles, whether sitting in the same board or working on the same objectives of ICAI in this region. And the another third thing what I would like to share is that in those initial years, this I shared few days back also in one meeting, that I got an opportunity to play a small role in a personal celebration of Anish when he was celebrating his 15 years of wedding anniversary. So these three things I would like to share that Anish is someone who cares significantly about social work. And when there used to be any social activities of Dubai chapter like blood donation camp, where I used to get more responsibility, but he used to always stand. There are many memories which you may get on Dubai chapter's website of ours. So with this, please allow me to welcome CA Anish Mehta with a big round of applause. CA Anish, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, CA Prabdeep Singh Baweja. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, and always you have been a guiding force for my journey in the ICAI Dubai, as you also have mentioned a little bit. And before I start the session, and this is one of the advantage of working in the foreign environment, that you get good friends like Prabdeep Singh Baweja. So thank you for that. Let me start the session. Respected President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Nihar Jambusaria, Vice President Debashish Mitra Sir, Chairman of the Committee for Member in Industry and Business, CA Hansraj Chuk, Vice Chairman CA Durgesh Kabra, the coordinators of this wonderful event, including Prabdeep Singh Baweja, eminent panelists of the day, and last but not the least, all the participants. A good afternoon, a very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me congratulate to all the participants who have recently cleared and now are in search for a career opportunity. So congratulations and best wishes to all of you. We all would agree that clearing Chartered Accountant final exam is difficult, but the life after clearing CA is not easy either. And we all know why. From the next day itself, we start looking for the various available opportunities so that we can start our new innings. The biggest struggle after clearing, and I think we all will agree, is to get a job in the field of your liking. Our institute ICAI take efforts to get maximum people placed, but the sheer magnitude of students clearing after every 6 months makes it impossible to get everyone placed through the placement camps. In recent years, more focus has also been given on the overseas placement camps, and many of our chartered accountant friends have participated in that who wish to build their careers in the foreign countries. There are many advantages of working in the foreign environment. Today, we have a session where we will discuss the career opportunities available in the overseas countries, where we will cover basically two main regions. The first one is the Middle East and Africa, and the second one will include Canada and the United States of America. Firstly, I'll just give a brief intro about the Middle East and Africa. Middle East and Africa are the two regions where 50% of our overseas members resides. Middle East has remained most attractive for last many decades, and now Africa is emerging to be the one of the most attractive regions in the recent years. During this year, many of our chapters and representative offices have been formed and are coming up well in the Africa region. All the countries of Middle East attract Indian workforce for economic reasons as well as geographical proximity. It's like not more than 3 to 5 hours of journey from India. Following the oil boom and the demand for high workers in the Middle East region, this is by far the largest market for the Indian workforce. Among Middle East, UAE is the largest market for our members, considering the central and focal point of the Middle East and Africa region. Predominantly, the place occupying the headquarters positions for companies operating in these regions. Bahrain was the first country in the Middle East to gain the attention of the world and becoming the financial capital of the region. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the region, with huge difference in the size of country, with being most dominant and very rich on account of oil gains between 2003 to 2013. Coming to African region, when we talk about African regions, the two most important things which comes to the people's mind are Africa is not a country. It's a continent having more than 50 countries. The current period belongs to Africa, where the huge expected consumption has to be tapped and strong growth will come up with the huge infrastructure development and tourism opportunities in some of the beautiful countries. Today we have three eminent speakers from certain countries in the Middle East and Africa who will share their insights on different opportunities in the two regions, and let us see what steps we should take to unlock the vast opportunities which exist in this region. Very soon I'll introduce these speakers. Unlocking professional opportunities in United States of America as well as Canada. USA and Canada are the two very large economies which has remained very attractive for our members for the past many decades. These are two countries where our members' strength is largest after United Arab Emirates. We are fortunate to have two leaders today from USA and Canada. With significant strength of our members widely spread in United States of America, it was much required that we all bring them together, members in the different cities, and with wonderful work from San Francisco chapter team under the leadership of CA Vish Arunachalam, chapter founder chairman, who is present with us today. We have bought so many new cities on ICAI map in the form of new chapters and representative offices of the ICAI. The new cities which has come on the ICAI map include Washington DC, Houston, Chicago, New England, Dallas, Florida, Seattle, New Jersey, Atlanta and Michigan. You can see how much work has been done in the past 1 to 2 years. The initiative which we have taken recently and expected emerging opportunities, we are confident that many opportunities for contributing to the growth of our country and our members' growth will emerge in these two large countries. With the vast experience of our leaders, we will explore opportunities and learn how to overcome the challenges for materializing the available opportunities. With this brief introduction about the two regions, let me have the honor for introducing our eminent panelists of the day. The first is CA Padmanabha Acharya. CA Padmanabha Acharya is the president of Indian Business and Professional Group in Abu Dhabi. He is also an audit partner and leads the audit and assurance practice for Deloitte in the United Arab Emirates. He has over 25 years of professional experience in assurance and advisory services, of which a considerable amount has been gained in the Middle East region. He is a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, an associate member of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, and a member of the Colorado Society of Certified Public Accountants in the United States. Mr. Padmanabha has also previously served as the chairman of the Abu chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has been a regular speaker at various international forums, seminars on various diversified topics. I have privilege to work under his leadership. May I request everyone to please welcome CA Padmanabha Acharya. Soon he will speak with all of us. The next eminent panelist is CA Jayashankar Srinivasan, a seasoned finance professional with about 3 decades of experience in diversified industries, presently associated with Al Mullah Group Holding Company as Group Controller, responsible for corporate finance and business financial controls. He has held various positions during 18 plus years stint in Kuwait, including setting up of businesses across GCC, and has also managed various other businesses. He has extensively traveled across the globe. He has been an interview panelist in the overseas recruitment program organized by the ICAI during 2018 and 19. So, if you have any doubt regarding the overseas placement, you can pose your query to him. The next eminent panelist is CA Shekhar Nautiyal. Shekhar is a chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and has completed Bachelor of Commerce from the Hansraj College in Delhi. He is currently working as Group Chief Financial Officer of Export Trading Groups. His key responsibilities includes business partner to the Chief Executive Officer, driving overall profitability agenda of the group across all verticals, heading finance and IT functions of the group, driving the functional teams to achieve excellence, devising and ensuring implementation of short-term and long-term business strategy for the group, managing risk through price position and currency across the group. He had earlier worked with Olam International Limited, which has a presence in most parts of Africa, and Shekhar comes with considerable experience of the African region. I request everyone to please welcome Shekhar Nautiyal. The next is a person from Canada, CA Baljeet Kaliramna. Baljeet is currently the Vice President of Finance with 8 Capital. He is a past chairman and current executive committee of Toronto chapter of ICAI. He has over 25 years of experience in diversified industries, including but not limited to capital markets, manufacturing, commodities, and public accounting. He is a firm believer in continuous education and evaluation, which is why after graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree, he went on to get an Indian CA designation, Canadian and US CPA designation, and CJ designation. Baljeet is actively involved in community through various business networking groups and partakes in many fundraisers for worthy cause. He is a strong believer that positive outcomes depends on effective teamwork, open communication, and by building strong relationship with the stakeholders. And the last but not the least, CA Vish Arunachalam. CA Vish is a CA and Silicon Valley based entrepreneur. His founder, chairman, and director, ICAI San Francisco chapter. He continues to play a key role in spearheading ICAI's effort in expanding the USA footprint. In a very short time in year 2020, ICAI has established in 10 regions across the USA. Vish has over 25 years of experience in technology and management consulting for top-tier clientele in the USA, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Vish is engaged in building an alliance through international network of finance professionals for deployment of next generation products across geographies. Recently, Vish startup has launched a SaaS product called ProScaler.ai to help professional tax, assurance and advisory firms build a better and smarter practice. Vish is also engaged in creating an emerging technology-based center of excellence for innovation in Silicon Valley. Vish has had professional stints at PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG Consulting, and SAP. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in inviting CA Baljeet as well as CA Vish and all the other panelists on the forum. Let us start with our panel discussion based on the professional opportunities available in the overseas countries. First of all, let me ask the question from the country where the largest overseas or country where the largest chartered accountants in the overseas resides. My question to you, CA Padmanabha Acharya. You have been in the profession for so many years. If you can please enlighten our young chartered accountant colleagues that how one should prepare in their initial career stage for successful career in the accounting firms, especially Big Four or the mid-tier firms. And it's not just simple, I want to share some of your thoughts, which is based on your experience as partner in the Big Four firm, as you have been progressed from an auditor to a partner and now leading the entire audit function for the UAE. Padmanabha Acharya.
Thank you very much, Anish. Just want to confirm that you're able to hear me.
Yes, we are able to.
Yeah, at the outset, I would like to thank ICAI for giving us the opportunity to speak to young chartered accountants. I'm sure many of you are aspiring for success in your careers, and many of you are aspiring even to go outside India and have a successful career. And I can just give you probably my example. I came here in the United Arab Emirates in 1998 February. I came in at the level of a semi-senior, that is one level below that of a senior auditor. And in a space of, I would say, 10 to 11 years, I became a partner in Deloitte here. And about 4 years ago, as Anish mentioned, I lead the audit and assurance practice for Deloitte in the UAE. So at the outset, I would tell to our Indian chartered accountants out there that there is no limit. If you are capable, if you have the right attitude, the right vision, you can make it to the top. One thing which you need to understand is the market here. having been in India, you would have been exposed to Indian Companies Act, the accounting standards which are applicable in India. And what you need to be aware of is, what are the types of industries which are there in this part of the world. So if I look at UAE, for instance, you have a lot of companies which are focused in energy and resources, mainly oil and gas, because this is an oil dependent economy. You have a strong financial services practice here. You also have a lot of professional services firms. Like if I just look at Dubai chapter, about 40 to 50% of Dubai chapter's members are those who are in the profession. So a lot of scope for people who are practicing out here. So my advice to someone who's out in India looking for employment here would be to look at the skill sets which are required for this market. So if IFRS is a skill set which is required for this market, you need to look at the institute's IFRS certification, do it on top of your CA. I also want you to look at other skill sets which are going to be of very big use here, like artificial intelligence, robotics, big data, all of these things where the institute is also coming up with courses. Please look at these skill sets, which will be the skill sets which will be required for tomorrow, if not today. If you have the right skill sets, good communication skills, the right attitude, and the ability to communicate, success will come with it. Anish, you seem to be on mute.
Thank you, Paddy. So short form of Padmanabh Acharya is Paddy, so I'll call him as Paddy. So thank you, Paddy, for the wonderful insights. And yeah, as you rightly mentioned, just one skill set is not enough. So you need to see what the particular job requires so that you can get that skill and your chances becomes very high. So thank you for that. Let me ask my next question to Mr. C.A. Jayashankar Srinivasan from Kuwait. Mr. Srinivasan, you have immense experience of 30 plus years in various industry sectors, and out of that 18 years plus of experience in Kuwait managing corporate and business finance in large local groups of Kuwait. What opportunities do Kuwait offer to professionals who wish to relocate from India or other parts of the world to Kuwait? What challenges does Kuwait pose? And you can share some of your challenges from your real life examples and how you have overcome those to grow in the ladder.
Thank you, Anish. Good afternoon to all my Middle East fraternity members. Good evening to chartered accountants from India. As Anish introduced me already, let me just say a few things which is not mentioned here. I was a young chartered accountant. I would not say very young, somewhere in early 30s. I just came into Kuwait. You all must be knowing, like, what is Kuwait? You may not know what is Kuwait. So everybody must be aware about the Abu Dhabi or Dubai or Sharjah, especially after the cricket matches. So all of you must be aware about it. But what is Kuwait? Let me talk about what is Kuwait first, okay? And before I start, my heartfelt congratulations to all the new chartered accountants. Welcome to this elite fraternity. And my thanks to CA Hansraj Chugh, Chairman of CMIB, CA Durgesh Kabra, Vice Chairman, CA Prabdeep Singh, Regional Director, who's given the opportunity for participating in this event, and CA Anish for moderating this event. Thank you very much, guys. It's a wonderful event. In fact, I've been looking for this. I've been recommending in the CA Delhi chapter also that we should have such an event happening. Almost 2 years back, I've been recommending. I shared with CA Pradeep, and it's good to communicate to all these young chartered accountants. So let me continue. What is Kuwait? Let's understand what is Kuwait. So it's a very small country. It's around 18,000 square kilometers in size. Located in the Middle East. It's a member of Gulf Cooperation Council. This contributes to 5% of the global oil resource, very big compared to the size of the country. And this enjoys the power of having the ocean. It may sound small. You may think that the salaries are just 1,500, 600. This is the number we will be looking at. But this initially may not sound attractive, but the surprise for any newcomer is the purchasing power of just 100 fils. You can buy ranging from a soft drink to a light snack or a tasty ice cream For your information, 1,000 fils is equivalent to 1 Kuwaiti dinar, which is equivalent to rupees 240 Indian rupees. And currently it is somewhere around 245 or US dollar 3.3, $3.30. Now Kuwait provides a very good standard of living and a high savings due to a tax-free salary and the subsidized gas, etc. It's a wonderful country to live in. You know the limits, and you know you are an expatriate, and you can have a very comfortable and long life and long career in this country. Now, as far as the opportunities are concerned in Kuwait, now Kuwait offers a variety of opportunities for finance professionals in the industries ranging from audit and advisory. We have all the big four in this country, and we also have the tier 2 firms and tier 3 firms, and we have the banks, financial services. We have quite a lot of chartered accountants working in the nationalized banks here, and we have investment and asset management, large business houses with diversified industries. To say a few names, Al Shaya is a large group, well known across the Middle East. Al Mullah is where I am working. We are one of the largest employer of Indian chartered accountants, and we have somewhere around 35 Indian chartered accountants, ranging from an accountant till the managing director of the group. So we have also people working at various levels, whether it is a business head or whether it's an operations head and an IT head. So there are so many opportunities that are available here. There are a few more business houses diversified like our group, like Al Ghanim Industries. It's a large group. Al Sayer, again, it's an automotive, it's a large group. And then we have Budai. I'm just talking about a few of the private business houses. As far as the challenges are concerned in Kuwait, I will categorize into few, say probably around 3 categories. So one is a climate. So everybody knows about Middle East. Some may think, okay, it must be extremely hot. Somebody must be thinking about Saudi Arabia, extremely hot. Kuwait is very close to Saudi Arabia. In fact, it is bordered with Saudi Arabia on the south, and I think 2 more. I think in the west it is bordered with Iraq. So in the summer we have the temperature in the range of around 45 plus during this April to August, which is not a major botheration because everywhere you go we are under the air condition, and then anyone will get settled with this once you experience the first season. Second is the cost of living. One of the challenge which I will not say it's a major botheration once again. Of late, in the last 10 years, the rentals have skyrocketed in this country, but there are plenty of options available, ranging from the sharing accommodation to a room or a flat or an independent house or up to the villas, and ranging from another thing from old spacious buildings to a small new modern buildings. One has to plan their lifestyle, and as per the budget, you'll be able to fit in. Now, as far as the professional challenges are concerned, Indians are very well respected in this part of the world since we are well educated, law-abiding citizens, cultured and well groomed. Therefore, the expected standards are very high. This is not a challenge, but we need to bear in mind in all walks of life, as long as we know our limits as expatriates, this country is one of the safe and the best place to live in. Now, as far as the personal experience is concerned, like what happened to me, like what I need to go through in meeting these challenges, or how I was able to come up. Like over a period of 18 years, I don't want to take you through a longer duration, but to put it in short, my learnings during this period, I will just put it in a small nutshell. So we need to be very strong in our functional knowledge. We should always remember the basics. Basics, when we say basics, accounting concepts, accounting guidelines, basics. Basically, I would like to see, like when I'm talking to some newcomers or even slightly experienced chartered accountants, they just lack on some basic conceptual knowledge. They may feel that it's very, very negligible thing to talk about it when you grow in the career, which we should not ignore. That it's very important. So this is and another thing is the local citizens, they're all well educated, and especially the current generation, they're well educated, very smart. They're also finance professionals, and we need to have an edge over others if we want to succeed in this part of the world. Second thing is we have to be receptive to the change management, which has to be a part of our drive, and the growth automatically will follow. We should not hesitate to accept any additional or higher responsibilities, which is a key. Multitasking capabilities are very important. We should keep on adding more capabilities with us. Time management is the key. If you are able to do that, we will be able to balance a very good work and family lifestyle. And while moving in the organization ladder, we need to learn the key skills for the stakeholder management. We need to spend a decent time in the organization to enable both the parties to understand each other, recognize and reward. We should avoid frequent movement for meager monetary benefits. Looking at a long-term stable career from a learning perspective in the initial days, especially you're all very young and the budding professionals, and you need to spend a decent time in organization for you to understand, for they also to understand about you. Then the relationship will build, and then the performance will be there, and you will be rewarded accordingly.
Thank you. Mr. Jaishankar, very good tips. And you talked about the multitasking. So I don't know whether it's true or not, but I have heard that in Kuwait, people do two jobs, one from 7 to 3, and then also a part-time job in the evening also. So I'm not sure if that is also possible to earn extra money.
That's basically an illegal thing. I would not suggest to do that.
Okay.
What I meant multitasking is to do more than one at the same time. So putting to our own functions.
Consistently role in a particular organization. Yeah. Thank you for the valuable insights. My next question is to CA Shekhar Nautiyal. And Shekhar, you have immense experience in the African region. And as I mentioned earlier, that Africa is the biggest emerging market, and therefore the opportunities for professionals are also increasing in that market. You are leading an organization which has a significant presence in African region. Could you please share your attributes that how fresh chartered accountants or chartered accountants with less number of years of experience should progress to lay their footsteps into the African continent and with an aim to rise or scale their heights in their professional career?
Thank you, Anish, and thanks to the Institute, thanks to CIMB for giving me this opportunity. Just to respond, Anish, I just want to, start by giving a very small snippet that I joined a place called Nigeria, or a country called Nigeria, and a place called Lagos on 4th January 2000, which is 21 years ago, when no internet happened and there was no internet and there was no possibility of finding any information about what Africa is. In fact, most of us, including myself, would hardly even place Nigeria on the map. So with this quick background, I can only, from an Africa perspective, I think the most important factor that I would like to tell my young fellow members, one, don't treat it like a country, it is a continent. So, generally, we tend to have this thought in our mind that Africa is one country. I think that is changing. The other important factor, and I say this and I ask this to many people who I go to the institute and recruit myself. I have been going to the institute for recruitment directly for the last 3 or 4 years. And I have asked this for 10, 15 years, and unfortunately it does not change. I ask everybody, close your eyes, think Africa, and tell me what you see. And generally the answers are animals. Generally the answer is poor people. Generally the answer is, people with skimpy clothes, hunger, poverty. These are general. Use this forum to, kill this thought process. And I'll just make this one statement, that roads in a country called Nigeria, in a place like Lagos, in the year 2000, were better than Delhi roads of 2021. So you see, the problem is we all associate ourselves with Africa, with National Geographic or Animal Planet, because that's what we see. And therefore, we are all clouded with, the colored people or the dark people. I hate to call it the black people. Or whatever we see on Animal Planet with hunger or animals. And therefore, there is this general scare of stepping into Africa. So I just want to use this opportunity to tell everybody that it is not all that bad. I have spent 10 beautiful years of my early career in Africa. to the extent that my son in the year 2007 was born in Zimbabwe, and I have visited probably 20 odd countries in Africa. It's okay, and it is as safe as it can get. So the other aspect which people talk about when they talk about Africa is the safety aspect, that we hear about safety incidents. I am telling you, I would prefer my own kids to be based in most parts of Africa as compared to some parts in India. So if any bad incident has to happen or any safety incident has to happen, I would say it can happen anywhere. Yes, you do need to take precautions. You don't really need to be, overly, take very risky steps. But otherwise, it's a very nice place to live. Very nice people. Coming to the professional side of it, Anish, the other important aspect for people to enter into Africa or be successful into Africa, given all this background, come with an open mind. You need to be really culturally sensitive. So we all try or tend to be culturally sensitive. Let's say when we move from a Delhi to Chennai, we can ourselves feel the difference that, in Delhi people speak in a particular manner, in Chennai people speak in a particular manner. But when we move around different countries, we all forget about these are different countries. People will behave differently, people will act differently, people will understand it differently. Some people may like hard or heavy noises. Some people like soft spoken skills. Like in just to give you a very small example, if you go to French West Africa and you see anybody and you don't greet. It is an offense in that person's mind because you have not greeted the person that you have seen. So it is extremely sensitive place in terms of cultural sensitivity, language sensitivity, but a very nice place to work. Extreme high amount of growth. You have all kinds of opportunities open. It is probably an India of 50 years ago, I would say. I know I was not there 50 years ago, but all of what I have read about India or what it was 50 years ago, it is a landmine of opportunities. People can make all kinds of careers. Most large MNCs, most businesses see Africa as the next growth. Just to give you quick facts, they have 54 countries, population of 1.2 billion people, as big as India, in 54 countries. But you see, this is the other fact, in 54 countries, not like 25, 30 states in India. These are 54 countries. Very culturally sensitive, very culturally diverse. Different countries come with different kinds of challenges. Some are very small in size. Some are very large in size. Some are extremely populated or densely populated. Some are sparsely populated. Some speak French. Some speak English. Some speak Arabic. So it is a very diverse continent. But for you to be, really successful in Africa, I think an open mind, high amount of cultural sensitivity, and ability to embrace that change is important. If you're able
I can clearly see your passion for the African continent, and I'm sure the perception of people after listening to you and seeing you will definitely change, and more people will look for the opportunities in the African regions. So thank you, Shekhar Bhai, for sharing the wonderful insights about the Africa as a continent. With this, let me move to CA Baljit and shifting the region also. So Baljit Saab, you have worked in Canada for a number of years. As per your experience, which is the right time to move to Canada for CA opportunities? Is it at the initial stage of our career, or with some good experience, or with a little experience? And I know while going through your CV, the commerce side, so it will be good to share that insights as well.
Thank you, Anishji. Thank you very much for elaborate introductions. And first, I want to thank ICAI and CMIB under the chairmanship of CA Hansraj and Vice Chairman CA Durgesh Kabra. And yes, Canada is a different region, and I agree with you. But I always say in my life that jab jago tabhi sabera. You can come any time of your life. All times are good to move to any regions, basically. But if we go and see the challenges when we move to different country, it's always better to move at initial stage of your career because it's easy to settle. And I can say why, because when I wrote my CA exam, I was in my exam mode for 3 years. Still I'm dreaming I'm writing exam, still dreaming I pass or fail. So when you come at early stage of your career, you come here and you start your education, and possibility of passing exam is higher for the junior member than compared to senior member. Secondly, when you work a couple of years at senior level and executive level, and when you come back to Canada and at North America, it's very hard to start at lower levels. Your mindset become of certain level that you worked as a YVP or CFOs, and then coming back to here and working at a lower level is not something enjoyable. So I would suggest that if somebody want to plan to come to Canada, they should do it as soon as possible so that they can restart their career earlier. So that's my view. And but I have seen so many chartered accountants with 20-15 year experience coming here, and they are more successful as compared to the people who are sitting here for last 20 years. The exceptions are always there, but its general view is to come as early as you can possible. That's my view, Anish.
Yeah, Anish, unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yeah. So some insights on what made you shift from the science to the commerce side?
Sometimes you don't choose it, Anish. Sometimes you don't choose to. So I did my BSc, and then finally I didn't even know what a chartered accountant is, because I'm from small farmer family working in agriculture field as a farmer. But one of the renowned chartered accountant, and he saw me and he said to me, why don't you try for CAs, because you don't need to go to government job. And I tried for army and I was not able to get into that. So then I like it, and I see that people are doing very well. And I think I'm thankful to that chartered accountant Gupta ji that he told me to join the CA, and I enjoying working as a CA.
Great. I think quite an inspiring story, and I'm sure God give you more success. Thank you for that. We were supposed to join by Vish Arunachalam from the United States. I think he has some urgent work he has to do, but he will try to join back. And once he joined back, then we'll ask a few questions to him. So with this, let me move again back to Paddy. And Paddy, this is a given fact that Indians are working in almost all sectors in the UAE. However, it would be great to know from you, and if you can throw some light on that what are some of the new developing sectors in United Arab Emirates, wherein talent of India can be utilized for helping these sectors to grow in the Middle East. You can elaborate on one or two such sectors, or if I were to ask you to log into the future, you can tell us what future opportunities a chartered accountant can unlock in the United Arab Emirates, particularly young chartered accountants.
Very, very interesting question, Anish. So let me just give a little bit of background on UAE so that our audience understands this place a little bit better. The UAE has a population of 10 million, in Indian terms, in terms of crores, how much would it be? Yeah.
1 crore.
So yes, 1 crore, in terms of Indian terms, and 26% of that population represents Indians. So you are, if you're coming to UAE, you are coming to a home away from home. And as I said earlier, when we look at the key sectors here, you have energy and resources, you have family-owned businesses, you have financial services, the consumer business, and manufacturing is also growing. And when I look at the key employers, we have Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, one of the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, which employs over 100 chartered accountants. And the profession itself, as in CA firms, you have quite a lot of them. You have Indian-based firms who have operations here. You have the large firms, you have the mid-tier firms as well, who also offer a position of employment to many Indian chartered accountants. And a number of Indian CAs have made it to positions of CFO. Some of them have made it to even CEO positions. And this type of market, people are looking for people with experience. And that's where the Indian CAs will have a lot of advantage because of the 3 years of articleship. And also UAE is one of the safest places in the world, albeit at this point in time, travel from India is not possible due to COVID restrictions. If you look at the level of testing which they do and the vaccinations is one of the highest in the world. And I spoke about Dubai chapter earlier, which has about 2,500 members. And if you look at some sectors, your question was, which are the sectors which are, more or less, you can go and find employment opportunities. One of the highest would be, consumer business or retail, trading and manufacturing. About 20% of our members in industry come from this particular sector. And then you also have financial services, banks and insurance. There, around 15% of the total population are in this particular sector. And real estate and construction, given that Dubai has that core, construction, wherever you go, it has one of the highest per capita, cranes in the world. Around 20% of our members come here. So I would say if you are looking at these sectors, the chances of you succeeding are quite high. I already spoke about IFRS as a skill set, and also having an additional foreign qualification may also help. So a strong piece of advice, look at where ICAI has an MRA with another foreign institute and try and see there, because you don't have to pass all the papers. Having a strategic mindset, ability to communicate, the C-suite presence, I would say are some of the skill sets which you require in terms of succeeding in this particular place. And again, I reiterate, those new skill sets, those new areas like AI, robotics, and big data are also something which I would strongly encourage the young Indian chartered accountants to hone their skill sets on.
Great. Yeah, I would totally agree. The IFRS being the most prevalent standards which we use, probably all the firms use IFRS and some very few use the US standard. So IFRS skill set is there. But nowadays, I think it's quite prevalent about the new regulations which UAE has launched, and therefore the opportunities for the tax practitioners have increased manifold. So whether it
absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, you're very right. UAE has introduced even ICOFAR. So I forgot to mention that. So in India, if you are working on internal control over financial reporting, that's a skill set which many of us are looking for in this part of the world. VAT is quite prevalent here. So India implemented GST, all of those things would be of use here. And there are several, changes to the local commercial companies law, which is happening. And you'll be pleased to know some of the key people who are there have come from SEBI. So they still have a point of contact back home, and they closely watch the developments which are happening in India. And India is kind of a trendsetter in terms of regulations. And UAE tends to adopt some of those in this particular market. And that's where the experience in India will count a lot, even in this part of the world.
Absolutely. So those who are started working in India also can relocate to foreign countries, because the Indian experience matters a lot. So thank you, Paddy, once again for sharing valuable insights. My next question is to Mr. Jaishankar. Sir, you are an active participant in the interview panelist from last 2 years in the overseas campus placement done by the ICAI. Considering your significant participation in overseas campus program, what advice would you like to share with our young fellow chartered accountants, young fellow professionals in building successful career in Kuwait and other Middle Eastern countries? In particular, how should they approach the interviewer, which can increase their chances of getting selected?
Yes, Anish, wonderful question. I would love to answer this. So let me start with this. The knowledge is power, and continuous update and acquisition of add-on skills, system skills, and then we should have the strong soft skills. There are three key parameters one has to focus, whether he wants to work in Kuwait or any other part of the Middle East. When I talk about the functional knowledge or the functional capabilities which one needs to focus, especially I'm addressing to the young chartered accountants. When you're planning to start your career, especially when you're looking at overseas movement or assignment in overseas in Middle East, you should look for covering almost all the finance functions, like whether it is, I list out a few of the functions. You should look at covering all these functions over a period of next to 5 to 8 years, not at just a working level, but at an expert level of knowledge. You need to have that kind of an understanding. So basically, to start with the financial controls. The financial controls, when I say, then there are titles like a financial controller. Basically, their responsibilities will be to have a complete understanding on the financials, to have a complete control on the balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flows. They analyze, they prepare, they analyze, they interpret, and they provide the advice to the management on what is the direction in which the organization is moving. So in order to give a meaningful financials, one has to be very strong in their conceptual understanding. So they have to be very strong in that. So what I would suggest is everybody please focus on what you have studied. What you have studied not only in the chartered accountancy, but go back to the basics. Your commerce, what you studied in the commerce. In fact, I am also not a commerce student. I am a science student, and I also got transformed from a science student to a commerce student finally. So it was difficult for me to move from science to commerce, but it helped me a lot since I need to study everything from the bits and pieces, from the basics. So the next thing is you should also spend some time in the asset management. You should also look into the working capital management. You should look into how the accounts payable, accounts receivable, cash management, how that is handled in companies. Get into the operational level of these functions. Treasury management is another aspect wherein you should spend more time in understanding how the cash management is done in the companies, in large corporates, in small corporates, and what drives the treasury management, what drives the borrowings, what basis the credits are given, how these are all controlled by the banks, what all covenants they look for, how do you have to manage your financials to ensure that these covenants are taken care. That's a major area, and most of the companies look for a qualified chartered accountants who has got a control on the numbers, who can also manage your financials, and who can also manage your bankers, which is very critical for this. Another part I would say that internal audit. So though we are all basically an auditor, but we may transform into a different role when you go to the industry. But of course, internal audit is a part of many of the finance function, many of the companies. So that's quite a lot of things to do in internal audit, right from the operational audit to the compliance audit. There are so many other things to do. So over a period of 5 to 8 years, if you concentrate in all these functions, get experienced, become an expert in all these things, then you can decide which direction you want to go in your future, in your career going forward.
Because if I may ask you, what is that one question which you always ask to the interview?
I'll go to that. I have a few points on that.
Okay, fine.
I'll continue that particularly. Okay.
Yeah.
The second thing, the key skill set, what I'm saying is you should have the complete control on, you should also get into a knowledge into the system. Basically, you should get into the ERP. So try to participate in either an Oracle or an SAP or any other well-known ERP implementations in your workplace. You should be a master in the MS Office. And as Paddy said, you should also have a good knowledge in artificial intelligence, robotics. There is another emerging key the aspect which is coming up, which is the information security, which is not something new. Many of you must be aware about it, which is a major threat in nowadays. And then a lot of chartered accountants are involved in securing and protecting their company's financials by getting into this information security. I think our institute has also got a course for this. Then there are a few more skill sets you need to develop when you work in this part of the world. It's relevant everywhere, but I'm saying more of here because we need to have a appropriate communication, presentation skills. Chartered accountants are expected to be over a period of say 2 to 3 years. They are expected to be a person leading a small team. So you will be expected to do a presentation. You should be able to communicate clearly. Communication doesn't mean that we need to speak in a fluent English or we need to speak in a very hi-fi English, because you will be communicating to multicultural nationalities here. So you need to speak in a language where everybody can understand. It should be simple, fluent. Then we need to maintain cordial interpersonal relationship. I believe these are all the skill sets one has to have if you want to grow in an organization to have a successful career in Kuwait or in other Middle East countries. Coming to the next part of this question, Anish, what do I expect in an interview? Like when we, or I'll put it in this way, how the young chartered accountant should attend the interview. So what we expect is number one is a communication. See, when we go for an interview, we don't look at whether the person is from Tamil Nadu or Kerala or from Rajasthan or Delhi or Mumbai. We consider all chartered accountants as equally qualified, equally knowledgeable, equally talented professionals. So we don't want to differentiate a person based on the communication. But at the same time, there has to be a focus on the communication also. So try to improve your communication skills. Try to speak reasonably good, fluent English. Don't have to use very high vocabulary words, but if you're good in English, it's well and good. But try to communicate what you want to convey to the interviewer. That's very important. Second thing, when you are, we generally ask about you when we ask when you start the interview. So generally we say, okay, talk about yourself, and 90% of the candidates talk about all those what is there in the resume, which we know already. We don't want to know that. We want to know how very well you are articulating about your family, about your personal background. It's not that we purposefully want to get into your family details or something, but we just want to know how you are able to communicate. So that is the purpose, intent behind this question. So when somebody says, please tell me about you, that means you need to talk about you, your family, your parents, your brothers, sisters. Where do you come from? What about that place? What is that place meant for? What is your passion? Talk something which is not in your resume, which will add more interest to the interviewer. Another point is you should know about the company who is interviewing, whom you are attending the interview for. You should go through the portal, study about it. Not only that, we are going to ask you about our company. I may ask you a question that say what you know about this company. You can also ask your questions. You can ask, of course, that could be certain questions, sensitivity related, may not be able to answer, but you can ask certain questions from your general knowledge standpoint. You can ask about what all businesses are there, like how many branches are there. So there are so many things you can ask about the company, which will show that you are interested about the company.
Sure, I think that will give more confidence. That will give more confidence about the company where you want to build your career to.
Exactly.
Yeah, and regarding CV, I think the CV should only be your trailer, whereas you should be in the interview, you should be telling your story. So,
absolutely,
great insights, Mr. Jaishankar, and I'm sure our participants.
Just one more point. Anish, just one more point I just want to add, which is a dressing sense, which I have noticed that generally people have a very, very casual attitude when I interviewed in India. So it's not that we expect everybody to be suited and booted, but even whatever dressing you are coming, please have a proper formals. It could be a white or blue shirt or whatever it is, a decent trouser and a pant. And shoes. If you have a tie, please wear a tie. But your presence, the way in which you carry yourself, you are carrying the image of the institute. You are carrying the image as a chartered accountant. So it's not all the time that we are going to interview you, the fellow chartered accountant. That could be a HR person from our company who will be interviewing, who may not be an Indian national. So they should also feel the image that this is a chartered accountant, and this is how the image of a chartered accountant is, and this is how he is going to add value to our company. That's what I want to say. Thank you, Anish.
I think with the online interview, you can still don't care about the trouser and the shoes, but yeah, shirt, tie, and coat should be good.
This is a top question, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the valuable insights. Let me move to Shekhar. Shekhar bhai, considering your rich experience in Africa, can you please highlight the growing economies and the fastest growing sectors in that region, and which probably can be helpful for our members to understand the region more and have more perspective as to which skill set are required in that market? Is the accounting skills is only one, or our young professionals should develop some other skills, not only to survive, but also to leave their impact?
Thank you, Anish. I'll not take too much time, but just to give you a quick background. Hello?
Yeah, no problem.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Sorry. So just to respond, the largest economies in Africa are Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa. These are one of the largest economies. On the West Africa front, Ivory Coast is another force to reckon with, and Cameroon, again on the West Africa front, is another large economy growing. On the East Africa front, Tanzania and Uganda are the other fronts to reckon with. Just to let most of our fellow members know that amongst 54 countries, and Prabdeep can correct my statistics, I think we will be able to trace Indian chartered accountants in 50 of them. There is hardly any country, even on the even on the continent of Africa, where the Indian chartered accountants are not present. But yes, in terms of size of the economy, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, probably Mozambique are the largest economies. In terms of skills, Anish, I would like to say that except for basic technical skills, it's very important to have very good quality communication skills. It is extremely important to have communication skills of a higher order. And it is, and the other important aspect which is expected out of chartered accountants predominantly working in Africa, and I actually think that it is true for most parts of the world, is the relationship building. We generally tend to, as chartered accountants, most of us, and I would not say all of us, but most of us tend to be more inward-looking, introvert people. And this is my own assessment of working with chartered accountants over 20 years. We are not the more sales-focused, hardcore MBA type, wanting to have more friends. We are very happy, generally inward-looking kind of people. But Africa is a place where, because you are expected to lead people, because you are right from the word go, and because the function and the economies of most of the places, and hence the companies, are at the infancy stage. In some places, you are expected to do almost everything. Hence, in general, at a very young age, you tend to be a leader. And when you tend to be a leader, you need to really take care of the team. So therefore, team management, people management is an important skill. Relationship management is an important skill. Communication is an important skill. I think I would just take from my previous response that adaptability and cultural sensitivity, definitely you always have to keep there in mind when you are working in Africa. I again say these are true. I have worked in places like China and Singapore and Dubai, and I think this is true for most of the places, but I would still like to say that it is probably more relevant for some parts of Africa.
So what I think you should keep your basics right, basic knowledge, basic communication, cultural sensitivity, and then you will definitely have a chance to succeed in the African region. So
yes, I think you're right. In terms of industries, just to wrap up, I think you did ask about industries. I think Africa is a land of uncharted territories right now. Therefore, anything and everything is growing. FMCG is set to grow. Most MNCs in the FMCG sector, whether it is the likes of Unilever or P&G or Mondelez of the world, are now thinking about setting up plants and looking at conquering Africa. Automobile is a very big sector. Mining generally in Africa, in most parts of Africa and predominantly East Africa, is extremely big. IT, fortunately for Africa, has come at the right time, and therefore, in everybody's mind, IT is where suddenly, because IT, you don't need to have those 20, 30 years, 40 years, which countries like India and China went through. Africa can straight away catch up on. Yeah. And agriculture, again in Africa, and I am from the agricultural industry for the last 20, 25 years. Africa, again, is probably going to be the breadwinner for most parts of the world in the coming years, because it has one of the most unused arable lands available. Therefore, agriculture is another sector which is definitely going to grow in Africa.
So I think, as you mentioned, I think everything will prosper in Africa, and it's a good time for our young chartered accountants to look into that region and build their career and grow. So thank you for all the information.
Before I wrap up, I just want to say one thing, and I have been doing campus interviews myself for the past 4 or 5 years, and I actually honestly feel very surprised that while people keep complaining that there are dearth of opportunities in places in India, there are not enough jobs. But the moment I have gone ahead and offered jobs to most of the people for locations in Africa, and this is a conversation I've had in detail with Prabdeep as well, I honestly still don't find that openness in people to step into this continent. Whether it is for security, whether it is for lack of knowledge or lack of transparency. They're very happy for moving into Dubai. They're very happy moving into Baljit Ji's land of Canada or US or Singapore or Australia for that matter. But the moment you tell them that, you have to be placed in Africa, their first question is, no, sir, I don't think I will be. They don't even want to know the name of the country.
I'm sure things will change, and thank you for this. Let me move to Baljit Saab. Baljit Saab, we all know that the decision of relocation to other country is definitely not an easy decision, and it's not an easy task as well, as we are moving to an unknown territory. Therefore, when we are looking at moving to Canada, how much and how should we prepare ourselves for easy migration and successful career in this country? What 1 or 2 typical skill set requires to survive and prosper and grow in Canada?
Thank you, Anishji. This is a very good question and very close to my heart, because I would say decision to relocate to different country. No, I would say decision to relocate is itself a difficult job. When I can share my experience when I moved from my small village to small city, I think that was the most difficult decisions to make and most difficult to settle there. Moving from small city to Delhi or Bombay was also difficult. But I would say moving from Delhi to India to Canada is very easy, because this country is a land of opportunity. This country welcomes everybody, and they need us. They need all the immigrants. It's a sea of immigrants and everybody is there. So I would say, yes, decision of relocation from different territories is difficult. Decision of changing your career, just like Jaishankar ji say, he is a BSc science to BCom, become CA was also difficult. All decisions are, nobody like to change. But I would say, once you make a decision you want to move, it's easy. Only thing you need to prepare yourself. You need to understand the culture of that particular country. Just like Sekharji said, that people get scared of going to African country. And I can share my experience that I got opportunity to audit a mining company in Botswana. And everybody in Canada saying to me, don't go, don't take watch, don't take cell phone with you. They will cut your hand for the watch and cut you. And I was scared, like basically to go to Botswana. And when I reached there, honestly, a company gave me the car and I was driving, because that's just like an Indian still. It was a wonderful place to go and live. Like it's a wonderful people to there. So you should be mentally prepared. Don't get scared to talk to people that, oh, you go there, Canada, America, you go. No, don't listen to them. Ask them, did you went to Canada? Did you went to USA? No. So how can you talk about the Canada and USA? How can you talk about Africa or Dubai basically? So people talk too much about different countries, but they don't have experience of doing it. Talk to the people who understand the culture of that country. So the most important thing I would say is, once you make a decision, you should well prepare yourself. Make yourself ready for that. Make the changes according to the country culture. Try to adopt the culture of the country. Understand that what is required in Canada. I came to Canada in December without having a winter jacket. I didn't even know there is a cold. So that was not something you should do when you come to the country. You should understand it. Now, most important, I don't want to repeat the same skill that Jayashankarji and Sekharji said, that communication skills. But I would say stress upon that. I want to add certain thing that effective communication skill is very important. Because effective communication is the ability, it's your ability to communicate your message in proper and understanding way. I would say a statistic says that words makes up of 8% or 10% of your message. Rest 92% or 90%, over 90% is the way how you say it and how you express it. Your positive attitude while answering your question is very important. Sometimes you don't smile at the time of interview. It's very important when you present yourself in front of somebody. And just like North Americans are also very, very sensitive about greeting, smiling. If you walk on the street, every time you will see the smiling face on you. Doesn't matter you want or not, but you always see the smiling face. When you go for the interview, you should prepare yourself, answer the question that you can expect from them. I recall one of the questions Jayashankarji saying on the exactly way that, okay, he asked me, tell me something which is not in your resume. Like, I was not prepared for that. I start saying something, I'm from India, I'm a farmer son. And he said, that's what I want to know from you. So basically, like, you should be ready. And that Indian Chartered Accountant is very well educated, very well prepared that. Like Canada and India, I think from cultural point of view, we are very similar. Like there's no big difference here. It's a mini Punjab, we call it mini Punjab in Vancouver and Toronto. And now it's from Delhi, Haryana, and every place that you can find a chartered accountant everywhere now. And technical knowledge point of view, we adopted IFRS. It's IFRS in Canada and India, and our accounting system is similar. There's no big difference. Only big difference we need to is our attitude. Attitude is very important. Secondly, in my days, I don't know these days, but computer skills were not as compared to. So we need to develop more computer skills. It is very important because everything is computers now. So you should try to develop yourself in efficient in Excel, Word, Microsoft Office, pivot tables, now these days data mining is coming a big thing. So you should prepare yourself for that. So I would say when you start thinking of relocating to different country, your mindset is important, communication skills important, communicating in the culture of the country. And another thing I want to say, Anish, is we always talk about cricket, we also talk about this. Try to understand the games which North American people like to talk to you. Try to see the show that basically North American people want to see. Because you need something to talk at the lunch time and coffee time. You need some common topics to talk. We always talk about cricket. My son always said to me, Dad, think something about basketball, think something about ice hockey also. But we are mentally blocked for those couple of games now. So we need to understand what people want to talk from the networking event so that you can develop
basically
more.
When in Rome, do what Romans do. मतलब अपने मन की नहीं उनके मन की बात करनी चाहिए और सुनी सुनाई बातों पे विश्वास नहीं करना चाहिए.
We need, interesting, Anish, I want to say, when first time, I'm from a village background, first time when I land on the airplane, Canada, that's the first flight I've been there. First time I was sitting in the flight. Somebody was telling me, make sure you put the belt on, make sure you do this. And I said, did you ever travel in the flight? Also, I never. So why are you telling me? You never travel in the flight and you telling me how to sit in the flight? So it's very important for you. A second thing I want to add up is when our Indian Chartered Accountants come here is do not talk to the negativity. Talk to people who talk positivity. Positivity in the life is very important because coming to Canada is different from coming to African region because 99% of the members coming without job here. Without job. And I would say unless you are in a North American your African region or your Southeast region, more than 50% of the members are coming without networking. So it's a different culture, different environment, different system here. If you come with positive attitudes, you will get a job within 15 days, 20 days, a month here. It's a very.
I'm sure these are very valuable tips where our young professionals can take benefit of it. I have next 5 minutes, and after that we have a question from the audience also, which some of our chairmen of the other chapters will pose to all the panelists. But I have 4 to 5 minutes and one question to each of you, and you have to give a very quick answer to it. And these are some of the questions which already the people have asked. So I'll just start with Paddy. Paddy, we all know UAE has largest presence of our members, and we know that many members who have relocated from India have lived here for many years, like as long as 30 to 40 years. And in fact, some of the members in Dubai chapter, they have the membership number in 4 digits. So what approach our young fellows should take to explore opportunities in UAE or other Middle Eastern countries? Share some leadership mantras.
Definitely. Look, many of us have, thought of a time frame before we came here, and we had an objective. So the question to all those people who are interested to come here, and many of them could be, millennials, etc. What's in it in your mind? Are you coming here for an experience in terms of finding out something about a new country? Are you coming here to save? So having that objective is quite important. And many of us came initially for a short term, looked at the place, liked the place, and decided to stay for a long time. In terms of leadership lessons, what can I say? Have long-term goals and have relentless focus on what you want to achieve. And this will make you successful. Invest in knowledge development. Have a mentor who is interested in developing you. Work on something which makes you unique and special. There is no shortcuts to success. Having a sense of purpose, being empathetic, and taking care of people will make you a great leader and make you successful in life.
Thank you. I think these are excellent leadership tips, which not even young professionals, I think everyone should have it. So thank you very much for this. Jai Shankar Saab, you have spent long years in industry, and that too in multiple industries. What according to you are the key attributes a professional should possess to climb the ladder and progress in the industry?
Well, Anish, first and foremost thing what I would say is we need to ensure that we have adequate financial controls in place across the business. First, we need to put our house in order. Then we can grow in the organization ladder further. So the second thing is we should have the ability and willingness to accept the higher responsibilities. Grab the opportunity when it knocks your door. You may not be able to hear it again, especially in the current very challenging environment. We need to be a very good team player. We need to learn to work with a multicultural environment, understand the sensitivities when working with different nationalities, manage the issues amicably, appropriately, and in a pleasing manner. We should have a very strong number control and develop the skills to view the business beyond the numbers. We should be a good thinker, strategist. Never limit your thoughts or ideas within the boundaries of finance. We should also think beyond finance. Then we should get involved into the business decisions. We should be a solution provider rather than an auditor. I'm not undermining an auditor function, but what I'm saying is always the business should not look at us as a watchdog sort of thing. They should come to us, and they always come to us as a solution provider. CS today manage a lot of diversified roles, ranging from an admin or operations or business heads, even CEOs, COOs and CIOs, and many more. What we need to do is keep on continuously engaged in our learning process. And as I think somebody mentioned, we should also try to have one more internationally recognized finance qualification, which will help in a faster growth. So these are all my tips for young professional to come here and look for a growth in this part of the world.
What I gather that you should not be only accounting man or the finance man, you should be the complete man, like Raymond.
Absolutely. Because beyond the stage, we are going to be the business leaders. So always we should look at beyond finance.
Thank you for the valuable tips. Shekhar Bhai, as you have spent many years in Africa and have guided many of our members to build their successful career in this region, is there anything you wish to highlight to our members for removing their common doubts which they might have came across over the last few years, or you have came across over the last few years?
So I think just to keep it crisp, Anish, I would like to say keep an open mind. It is very, very important for everybody to keep an open mind. I think somebody already touched upon the fact, I think Baljit ji touched upon the fact that don't go with, old premonitions on Africa being, or for that matter, any place being, in a particular manner. Speak to the person who is there. Don't go with a blocked mind saying that this place has this because you heard somebody talking in some particular manner at some place. In today's world, all the information is available, and it's just a matter of minutes that you will be able to speak to a person who's physically either present there or has been there. So therefore, when you take a decision of moving into any part of the world, I think it is important for you to do your good research and do it yourself. Speak to the actual person staying there. Speak, understand their experience, and then decide whether that is an experience you are happy to take. And that is a risk that you are happy to take, because there are risks and rewards attached to it. And so that is an important aspect which I think every newcomer I would like to share with, because moving outside India is, while it comes with its own positivities, there are negativities attached. So just to give a backdrop, most of us, while we belong to India, in current circumstances have not even traveled to India for 2 years.
Okay, I think it's very true that a lot of information is available, but you yourself has to do research to know what is the right information, and don't go with all the information.
So this is in line with, when we said that when we were preparing for exam, you do your own study and then you can write your exam. Right. Nobody can write that exam for you. So
आगे पीछे वाला help नहीं करेगा.
If you have to get that job, or you have to make that move, and you have to take that decision, it is your research that is going to help, because it is your decision. It is not anybody's decision. And when you actually find out, you may like it, you may not like it. That's a personal choice.
Yeah, but experience it yourself.
Yes. Experience it, find out.
Thank you very much. Because of the time constraint, I'll move to Baljit ji. Baljit ji, after going through your profile, it's fascinating to know your love for continuous learning. You have many degrees, including ICAI, CA, CPA Canada. So just share your some knowledge about that, how to earn this CPA Canada qualification. Are there any challenges which members are facing?
Yeah, Anish, for time constraint, I will answer briefly. Yes, it's very important to get a Canadian designation here, because that's a job requirement here. So it's very easy, I would say, thanks to ICAI and CPA Canada, because they have MOU. You just need to write one exam here. And we have a local chapter. Toronto chapter has a mentoring team here, which will help you to guide you through how to prepare your profile resume. And then there's a CPA helpline team we have. They will completely guide you through how to write the exam, how to prepare yourself exam. So it is not very difficult after passing Indian exams. You only passing CPA exam is not difficult. Only I would say I recommend to the members is the approach, how you approaching the exams, because ICAI exams in Q&A basis and CPA Canada exam is basically on case study basis. You have to go through the case study and then find out the question and answer from itself. So it's approach. It's a different approach, totally different approach. We are here, Toronto chapter is here to help all the members. It's a first home for the new chartered accountants coming to here. So I would suggest all the members to go to our website, ICAI website, or Toronto chapter, ICAIToronto.com website, find all the question and answer, and reach out to any members of our chapter. That if you have any question about that, we have a dedicated team of for support the members. And that's very important to have CPA designations to go high or ladder on your professional career. So for the time constraint, I would say reach out to the chapter members, and they will help. They are there to help you.
Thank you. And for that matter, I think each of the chapter has their own website, and information is available about the office bearers and the managing committee members. So if anyone wish to relocate to those countries, they can get in touch with them. Email addresses will be there on their website. With this, let us take some queries from the participants, and I would request Prabdeep Singh Baweja, if you can please take on.
Yes, I would like to tell all the participants that you have posed many questions, all the questions, and many of them have already been answered in the panel, but we will again re-review it and see that what has not been answered, that gets answered to you. You had raised queries regarding overseas campus. We will explore within ICAI whether that can be a possibility. You were asking about a portal for overseas opportunities. That does not exist as of now, but we had initiated a work. We will get back to you if on that. With regard to the qualifications, you have posed many queries. If you see Middle East, when you are a chartered accountant, you are a complete chartered accountant. So where there is no accounting body in any country, then you have a qualification which is sufficient. So it depends upon where you are moving. Regarding the Big Four experience, there were many questions asked that whether a Big Four experience in India helps. Yes, that definitely helps when you move to Middle East or Africa, whether it is the articleship experience. And the last thing what I would say, want to say before that we have many country kits available, as Anish mentioned, that chapter websites are there. And also we have publications on the opportunities abroad. And I will again repeat my story that when I came here in 2006 looking for a job, I found out a job in a Big 5 firm by Naukri.com in India. So there are many opportunities. When we look into it, look into the details, we will find out when it comes to experience of the people in that country, that also you will get in a data. So now I request Nirlip, he is the chairman of our Doha chapter, to please pose a question. We have 4 questions which we have picked. So 2 questions C.A. Nirlip from Doha and 2 questions C.A. Ajay from Bahrain will be putting to the panelists, including Anish. So C.A. Nirlip, please go ahead.
Good evening, all the esteemed panelists, moderator, and my dear chartered accountants. Now, my question is we have received one nice question, and it is, I would like it to be addressed by stalwart C.A. Padmanabha. Okay. So, sir, the question is that in your initial address, you mentioned about the qualification and the attitude to be able to relocate to the overseas country. So, the question is that, could you please elaborate in what do you mean by right attitude? If you can say that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. You know, having the right attitude means being positive. I think it was covered by some of the panelists earlier. So when you come here, you know, starting from how to interact with someone else, you know, understanding the cultural differences, having that positive attitude to learn about the new country, new culture, what are the things which are required. So when I came from India, I was conversant with Indian GAAP, but not necessarily IFRS. So having the right mindset to say, you know what, if I want to succeed here, I need to excel in IFRS. And, you know, if I also do, for instance, CPA in addition to ICAI, I can grow faster. And mind you, ICAI is a very well accepted qualification in the Middle East, and through ICAI alone, you should be able to progress. But if you want to go faster, then having an international qualification would be helpful. So, you know, having the right attitude is the right mindset in order to succeed.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, Ajay, if you can take next question.
Yeah. So good evening, everybody, and it's my pleasure to pose the question to such an elite panel. So my question is to C.A. Jayashankar, and it is something that probably we have not touched upon. I was reading recently, you know, Melinda Gates saying that, you know, whichever part of the world you are born in, the life is always harder for a woman. Okay, so now I believe there is a perception in the Middle East it's probably even harder. So I don't know, Jayashankarji, if you want to touch upon that aspect. So being in Bahrain, I can say, of course, you know, in the element of safety, how do you look at the safety for a single women who are trying to, you know, find work in the Middle East part of the world, and even element like a sponsorship, you know, can they get sponsorship on their own? Do they need to be married to be working in the Middle East?
Very good question, Ajay. I think many people will be benefited with this question. I've been handling this query for last so many years, so I would like to answer this. Okay. As far as safety is concerned, Kuwait is very safe for single women to live. Married women, we don't have to say. They have to just get safeguarded from their husband only. So as far as single women is concerned, there's no issues. They can come, they can live, they can lead a very peaceful life. As far as there are certain conditions which people need to understand. Basically, single women, or let's say unmarried women below 30 years, it's very difficult to get the work visa for them. So we find some difficulties to get a work visa for those category of people. That means unmarried and below 30 years. Above 30 years, married or unmarried, that's not an issue. The government is not very much hesitant in issuing the visas. So we get the visas for them. And there are other restrictions like they will not be able to sponsor the family. So that is once again that goes with the Islamic rules. So there are certain conditions which I don't think it's required to mention here. There are very, very extreme conditions where if they don't have a husband or whatever it is, or they're a single mother, they have children. Let me explain for the benefit of everyone. So if they are separated or divorced and then our husband is no more, if they have those certificates readily available, they will be able to sponsor the family, means sponsor the children or the sponsor the mother. So otherwise, there are no other issues. So women can come, they can work single here, and then they'll be very well, their safety will be taken care. The country has got a very good protection in that case. So no issues for that matter. In fact, I hired few women, and there are people in my own team also. So that's absolutely not an issue in Kuwait.
Ajay, if you permit me, I'll just give a UAE perspective very quickly. UAE is quite liberal, and it's there's a lot of women here working in the large professional services firms as well as in industry. And in fact, there is a lot of push in terms of diversity and women in workplace. So strongly encourage people in India, particularly women chartered accountants, to look at this part of the world, and sky's the limit.
Thank you, Jaishankarji. Thank you, Paddy. Over to you, Nirlap.
Yeah. So now my question is to immediate past chair of the largest overseas chapter, Moderator, Sir C. Anishji. So, sir, one of the query which we received is that how to find overseas opportunities, and more importantly, which countries welcome fresh chartered accountants? Sir, you have to unmute yourself, Anish sir.
Yes, thank you, Nirlap, for the two questions in one question. So let me answer the first one, like how the opportunities can be known. I think Prabdeep had answered one, that how he found his job through Naukri.com. So definitely the one alternative is to go to the websites of the job search websites. And there are specific job search websites for the UAE also, like Baith.com and many others, which definitely, if you can touch base with any person who's residing in UAE, can tell you. The other alternative where you can find jobs, that each of the professional firm, including Big Four, they have their own career tab on their website and where the vacancies are posted. So they can also go through that, and even industries also have that. So they can go on their website and see what opportunities are there. But nowadays, the most prevalent thing for finding a job is the LinkedIn. So through LinkedIn also you can reach out to many companies, because many companies now post their job requirements on the LinkedIn. So I think three are the main, and definitely the fourth one is the referral. Like if you know anyone, you can share their CVs, they can circulate in their professional network, and you can find a job. Like in Dubai chapter, we have one particular WhatsApp group only for jobs for the CAs. So where each one, whoever comes new to the UAE, they become part of that WhatsApp group, and then through the prospective employers and all, we post CVs there, so they can get benefited and get interview calls. So this is the first part. Second part is which countries welcome freshers. I think all the countries welcome freshers, as we have heard all our eminent panelists, and even in Kuwait, Africa. But in UAE, definitely because of the proximity, I think the more people comes to UAE first and then migrate to the other countries. So definitely UAE welcomes freshers a lot, and all the big fours, including Deloitte, we definitely take fresh chartered accountants. And definitely, obviously, they have to go through the proper interview and the other stages. So, but yeah, freshers are welcome.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Ajay ji.
Ajay, keep it short and request to keep the answer also short. Yeah.
Sure. I think this is the last question for this panel, and this is to Shekhar. So, C.A. Shekhar, I think I really like the way, the passion with which you are trying to dispel the various myths about working and life in Africa. I have myself worked in Africa for a short while, so I totally second all the views that you were mentioning there, and it's totally true. But again, on the gender parity, I just want to touch upon the fact, how does it look like in Africa? Or are the boys given more preference over girls in Africa?
So I have been engaged in recruitment and chartered or working around chartered accountants in Africa for over the last 20 odd years. The only thing, Ajay, I can say is that yes, it is a fact that boys are given preference. The main reason, and I will be very, very honest, the main reason today is in the minds of either women or family of the female members on account of security on sending their child at an early age into Africa. There is no other real reason, but the fact that, and I will tell you with experience, after going into different CA campuses myself, I made an offer and I know it that the response is going to be no. But the good part is that the myth is or the things are changing. The acceptability of women being independent on their own and hence willing to accept Africa even at an early age, even when they are not married, is increasing. But today, fact of life, and again, this is nothing personal towards anybody or the profession or gender parity, because of the myth in the mind of freshers, especially women, with respect to security being bad in Africa, today the gender parity is very, very poor.
Thank you, Shekharji. I think it just comes down to the fact it's all in the mind. So anyways, thank you, and hand it back to CA Pradeep.
So Pradeep, with your permission, as obviously we have exceeded time, but Mr. Vish Arunachalam is able to join. So if you permit, yes, I can ask him a few questions, because we don't want to lose this opportunity.
Yes, we will take 5 to 7 minutes because anyways we have 15 minutes, 4 sessions later on, so we can manage. We won't be able to take questions, probably, maybe a lot of. So it takes 7 minutes, and apologies for speakers who are waiting because USA was left out. It's very important, so let us cover USA. Thank you.
Yeah. So welcome, CA Vish Arunachalam. We have read your introduction earlier, so I will straight away come to the questions. So, Vishji, we all know that professionals from India are making huge impact in the United States of America, including our chartered accountants fraternity members as well. Given your large experience in Big Four audit consultancy firms, dealing with people from various industries and various countries, and now running your own startup, what has been the driving force for our members to achieve significant success in USA? If you can also throw some light for the benefit of our young members, that what route members largely take to relocate to the United States of America. I think voice is not coming.
Yeah, Vishri, there's some problem. My mic was on, but I think connection was.
Now you have to unmute. Yeah.
No, again, unmuted. It's again muted. I'll
You have to unmute right now.
Sorry. Sorry, I was trying to unmute you. You can try again. Yeah.
Some technical glitch.
Can you rejoin again, Vish? I'm also not able to unmute you. Ayaz, can you help? What may be the issue? Technical support?
Maybe not connected to the computer audio. So Vishsab, if you can log out and then log in and then join with the computer audio also. I think he's logged out. I think it's poor network as well. But I think till the time, if anyone wants to give some extra tips, we can take and we'll wait for
Anish, I think you can sum up the discussion.
Okay.
Your conclusion.
Fine. I think a lot of valuable tips have been given by all our eminent panelists, and I think it will not be easy job to summarize everything. But yeah, if someone wants to know again these tips, I think they can go back to the recording of this. But yeah, definitely, my only giveaway to the participants that if you work in a foreign environment, and these are the advantages of working in the foreign environments. So if you work in a foreign environment, your adaptability, flexibility, and communication skills are inevitably going to improve. Your chances to work with a diverse set of people to achieve the common goals will also help improve your team working skills, because we all come out of our comfort zone and then go to the uncharted territory, and there we make a lot of friends. And I can see the next sessions, we also have some of our friends, Rajiv, Jay, and waiting for the sessions. So I think this is a very big advantage that you make friends for life. So my honest submission that please, you also definitely look at the options of relocating to the foreign countries. And there are chapters everywhere which can help you to find a suitable job, at least to guide you to start your career. So with one beautiful quote, I would like to end that choose a job you love. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So build your skills, what you like the most, and success will be yours. Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunities. Thank you all the eminent panelists, Padmanabha Acharya, Shekhar Nautiyal, Baljit Saab, Jay Shankar ji, and Vish Arunachalam, who is, I think, still not able to start the mic.
Right.
But thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, committee for CMIB. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anish. We will have the words of wisdom from CA Vish after one session, and my sincere gratitude to all the panelists and all the speakers for taking out time, as Anish has thanked. So thank you so much for taking out time, and we look forward to see you again sometime. And there are many comments which have come for the tips which you have shared, and sincere gratitude from all the participants and their lovely comments. There are so many. And I'll share with you personally. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Pradeep. Thank you, Anish.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Wonderful experience. Thank you.
Right. So now we move on to our next session, and second session where we have 4 speakers talking on diverse fields. And we will be starting with CA Gopal Balasubramaniam, who will talk on audit and assurance. CA Gopal Subramaniam, a resident of Doha for the last 25 years, is a senior partner with KPMG in Qatar. He is heading their audit services and headed the oil and gas practice for KPMG in the Middle East and South Asia, covering 15 countries for the last 8 years. He joined KPMG Qatar as their 8th employee in 1994 and is proud to be an integral part of their successful journey in the country in the last 2.5 decades. And the firm currently boasts of 350 employees, including 10 partners. Gopal Balasubramaniam and his Qatar's Auditors Registry number 251 is a common feature in the local dailies in Qatar for the last 12 years, as he has been attesting the true and fair view of the quarterly, half-yearly, and annual financial statements of the most of the companies and banks listed with Qatar Exchange, apart from the big unlisted Qatar in corporations. He is with his family in Qatar. Wife Vashni joined him in 1995, and they have 2 kids. Gopal is one of the active Indian community members. He had been the chairman of Doha chapter of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in 2001-2. He has been the treasurer of Indian Cultural Center and Indian Business and Professional Network. After a gap of 10 years in 2019, he has again taken up the position of Head of Finance in Indian Business and Professional Council. He was the recipient of Dilip Thakkar CA Professional Achievers Award in 2016, and he figured in the top 50 prominent Indian achievers in Qatar in the book The Indian Odyssey in Qatar, which was released in 2016. He is passionate about music, and he runs Music Lovers Group, now set up a company called Beats and Tunes event to host music concerts in Doha. He is also one of the lead singers in his local orchestra called Doha Dhwani. Gopal is an ardent cricket fan who played in the Hardball League in his first 5 years in Qatar, and then the last 2 decades he has been playing in Qatar Veteran Cricket League and presently runs his own 2-team Lovely Littles. He has a team called in Desi Army who travel around the world to cheer Team India in the World Cup competitions. They had been to UK, Australia, New Zealand, West Indies, and India to witness World Cup competitions and to support Team India. Gopal's story is a story of a success like many other members who came decades back and became a partner in a Big Four. And with his profile, we see that he has been involved in so many activities when it comes to cricket, music, and he has made a difference in that. Yesterday, I was not here for a full session, but I noticed a question which was asked to Ashwini that how do you find time for singing when you have so many job responsibilities? Gopal is another individual. You can see that how much he has achieved in his career and in his subject of passion. So therefore, a great example for us. So for 15 minutes, Gopal will be talking about audit and assurance. And I request all of you to please give a big virtual round of applause for Gopal. And Gopal, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CA Prabdeep Singh. It's a whole biography of Gopal, which you have given. Thank you very much. Let me just present the slides. I've got a few slides to share. Is it coming now?
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, Gopal. Yes, Gopal.
Sure. Good. First of all, I'd like to thank Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for organizing this 6-day executive development program for the benefit of newly qualified chartered accountants. It's a unique program. Really loving it. For the last 4 days, I've been attending this as well. And special thanks to CA Hansraj, Chairman of Committee of Members in Industry and Business, Vice Chairman of the Committee, Durgesh Kabra, and Mr. Ranganathan Ji, Secretary of the same committee, for pioneering this entire program. Now, of course, my dear friends, CA Prabdeep Singh Baweja, who is the Regional Director of ICAI in the Middle East and Africa, and Doha Chapter President Nirlev Ji, for having selected me for this topic, which is I would say very close to my heart. So I thought I can just share some of my views on this topic to the newly qualified chartered accountants. So the first slide, it says, in God we trust, all others we audit. This is something which a phrase
Gopal,
which is...
Yeah, Gopal, if you can check whether it's in slideshow mode, I think.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yes, now it's fine.
Yeah, fine.
Thanks.
So this phrase, in God we trust, all others we audit, this is something which I saw in one of my friend's offices about 25 years back. And incidentally, 5 years back, one of my fellow partners, who was the head of audit in KPMG Luxembourg, has written an article titled this, where he talks so many things about the audit profession. I just thought I will use this phrase. It doesn't mean that you take the trust out of the equation. It's just that the audit and assurance services professionals require that extra professional skepticism. There's nothing wrong in having that additional, I would say, curiosity. So that's what it means. So with that quote, I would like to share a few thoughts on this audit and assurance profession, which I hope will be useful for the newly qualified chartered accountants. So what you have now is a unique set of people, right? You have 1.34 billion of population, whereas the chartered accountant members are hardly about 320,000, which is about 0.2%. So these newly added members into this, the unique a very, very special group of people. You all have an opportunity to take audit and assurance as a career because last 3 or 4 years you've already been trained on this path. But if you're really committed to accuracy, integrity, and quality, and also you're adaptable and analytical, you're a perfect fit for audit and assurance career. In the last few years, this profession has gone through a lot of turmoil, and there's been strict oversight from different bodies and different jurisdictions just to preserve the financial security and improve the quality of financial reporting. But there is always a need and demand for the bright and dedicated professionals, just like you all who have assembled here. So just a few more thoughts on audit and assurance, the background of it. If you see the second part of the slide, it's basically provide assurance to all the stakeholders who are investors, capital markets, lenders, suppliers, customers, etc. Basically on the current environment. The current environment is called VUCA environment, which is nicely put in by one of my fellow partners who has written this the publication which I had referred to. It's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. So in this VUCA environment, financial audits provide a lot of assurance to the stakeholders. It's a great opportunity, to learn how businesses work, how they operate, how they seek out opportunities, and how they put in the results in their financial statements based on whatever they have achieved. So that's what is done in the financial statements. Audit is no more a number crunching job. They're all risk-based audits. They're all performed with, controls-based approach based on the risk, the business risk, which translates into audit risk, and then you adopt a controls-based approach. It's no more an audit number crunching job, which the audit profession was used to about a few decades back, and it involves a lot of data analytics as well. And last but not the least, it's a rules-based profession in terms of execution and deliverables. If you talk about the international environment, you have the international standards on auditing. There are so many standards of what to do for which job and how to deliver. What should be the format of the deliverables. So you can't have much of flexibility on that. So it's a rules-based profession. There's ISAs, or you have ISRS, which is called the International Standards on Related Services, which is for we use for agreed upon procedures and some of the compilation engagements which you use that standard. That's a framework. Then you have the International Standards on Assurance Engagements, about which I'll talk later in this presentation. That's again a different framework under which we operate. So we deliver our engagements under that framework, and the report format is also guided by those standards. It's not moving now. Yeah, fine. Next, I will share with you a couple of successful stories of inspiring personalities who have taken audit and accounting assurance as the profession. O.H. Malegam and Chian Manoharan. There are two, CA professionals who have been awarded Padma Award, the 4th highest civilian award, and they both have been past presidents of the ICAI. Incidentally, I had interaction with both of them. Malegam, when I was the chairman of the Doha chapter, I had the privilege of hosting him for one of the events, and for 2 days I had spent lovely time with Mr. Malegam. He's such a pioneer, of the CA profession. If you see the second bullet, he did article strip training with SB Bullimaria in 1952-55, passed out CA, then passed out CA from London and Wales, and 58, he was made a partner in SBB. Can you imagine? Within, say, about 25 years, he was made a partner in SB Bullimaria. Fantastic achievement. As a great, inspiring personality who had taken audit and accounting as the assurance as the career. SB Bullimaria had great clients like Tata Group, RBI, SBA, and all. He was the president of the institute, as it said, in 1979-80. He was the chairman of National Advisory Committee. He was appointed as the RBI board member, and of course, he received the Padma Shri Award. Such an inspiring personality. So, why I'm sharing these stories is, any one of you can become like this. You can become the president of the the institute, or you can take up so many roles in the institute. You can become board members in leading institutions. And you can also receive the civilian awards for the President of India. So that's Malegam. And Manoharan, he was my professor for CA, where I was a student of Manoharan for a tax subject in 1990-91. He has visited Qatar many times and talked about budgets and various other professional subjects. So he was he became a CA in 1983 and immediately set up his own practice and roaring practice, which he's got in India, and also he has got branches outside. So he served as a president in 2006 and 7. Manoharan was appointed as one of the 6 members by the government of India when we had the great Satyam scandal, and he had to get involved in that for revamping Satyam board and the whole operations. So he is also a Padma Shri awardee. So these 2 inspiring personalities I just wanted to share, because you can really hit the top by taking audit and accounting assurance services as the career. Yeah, what is there as attractiveness in the audit profession? What are the skills you tend to develop? If you see audit and assurance services, you have wide range of experiences, valuable experience as you go in your career. Exposure to established businesses and also to struggling businesses. Not all clients you have in your firm will be top-notch, established, strong, successful businesses. There could be others who will be, going through real difficult times, and you can be part of that journey. So that's added advantage. And of course, variety is this piece of life. When you join a firm, you will have exposure to different industries. One day you can get into transportation, next day to an oil and gas, to construction sector, to hospitality sector. So you have, opportunity to know what are the accounting practices in different sectors. So that's a very good, I would say, opportunity when you take audit and assurance as your career. And of course, leading edge technology nowadays, whether it's a Big Four firm or any second tier or third tier firm, they all use technology in terms of documenting the work papers. There are no manual audit files. We used to have that bound box files carrying all those. That's nothing is there. It's all electronic documentation. In fact, the whole audit methodology is sitting in cloud-based solutions. So, for example, I can say in KPMG we use Microsoft Azure, which is there it is one of the cloud-based solutions. The whole audit is carried out through that platform. And there's a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning involved in data analytics. So it's completely, I would say, technology-driven audit, which provides great insights to client, and also the overall, the quality of the audit improves. And of course, as I said, it's not just the audit, financial statements audit. You can get involved in a lot of other assurance projects like insurance, international standards on assurance engagements, and the ISRS, which I talked about in the previous slide. We can always have the opportunity of dealing with international colleagues. When you work on a group audits, you work with multiple locations, you deal with different jurisdictions, you get bonding with international colleagues, and you get to know about their culture, their professional background. So that's a big take, when you work on an audit profession. Staying relevant and with updated and staying relevant, because see, in audit profession you have to have that updated knowledge. Definitely, it's there in every profession. More so here, because there's continuous change in the accounting standards and auditing standards. Unless you are up to date, you will not be able to deliver what is required. And the clients demand you to have that knowledge. You have to be a subject matter expert. For that, you need to be relevant, and there will be a lot of training programs and accreditation program requirements which you have to go through. So you always stay relevant. No competition for non-CAs, unlike tax and consulting. If you take the tax work, there are legal guys coming in and taking their share. If they consulting world, there are all sorts of consultants, which are professionals. There are engineers coming in. There could be statisticians. There are so many different professionals coming into that sector. Whereas the audit and accounting, audit and assurance services, you have these chartered accountants. It's their whole field, and I know that they have their own. They are the competition for themselves. So when we get all this attractiveness, attributes of audit profession, you develop all these skills. You develop the analytical skills. You get adaptable to different situations. Strong foundation accounting and financial reporting. This is fundamental. When you come out of the CA curriculum, you are expected to have some basic knowledge of financial accounting and reporting, but not to the extent of practical application. But before you become a CFO or a finance director in an industry, if you have the strong foundation of accounting matters, how do they report in the financial statements? This is going to give you a big advantage all through your career. So that's why I believe personally, a lot of the CAs, when they get out, have of course they can make the career for in audit forever, but starting a point when they have this kind of an exposure, this is going to play a significant role in their career. Decision-making abilities, there will be continuous challenges on decision-making, whether you are a manager or a supervisor on a job or a partner, you'll be forced to take decisions on the audit engagement. Problem-solving skills and technical skills. Communication skills, this is must. I think GMCS program is already active in CA curriculum, but you develop more and more communication skills, because you meet with the boards and audit committees every quarter, present to them the audit findings. Unless and until you have the communication skills, you're not going to improve further in your career. So there are opportunities to improve your communication skills with this real-time on-the-job training which we give. Interpersonal skills and people skills, again, you have a team. Unless you have the interpersonal skills and people skills, it will be difficult to manage a team. So these are skills which you develop automatically when you are in the audit and assurance services. Giving back to community, all the audit firms have a CSR program. So this is something, again, I'm not saying this is unique to audit profession, but in audit firms as well, we have this as one of the important, programs as part of the overall setup. So what are the few ancillary services? I talked about the financial statements audit, but there are 6 other important ones. There are more, but I just picked up these. Internal audit compliance. This is also coming under the overall audit and assurance framework. You have tax audit compliance services, IT audit compliance services. You can do forensic audits. If you have, of course, a CFE, then you increase your chances. Chartered fraud examiner qualification. IPO audit compliance. Anyone who goes for public offering, you have an audit of subscription audit to be completed. So that's an important ancillary service. And then the new regulations require external services other than the financial statements audit. This is something which I said at the beginning itself. It's not just the financial statements audits which the stakeholders look into. Yes, the financial statements give certain business insights, but what the stakeholders want is much more than the financial statements assurance, which is what is delivered in ICAI 3000, which is the international standards on assurance engagements. 3000, which is for other than review or audit engagements assurance, and also 3402, which is on the controls framework assurance. So these are some of these other ancillary services which you can jump into as part of the audit and assurance career. And the internal audit, I just had this one slide on internal audit. Most of the internal audit setups, they use the COSO framework, Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission, which is what is universally used. And this internal audit is the important governance pillar, in any organization. Now, if you see, this COSO framework has got 5, activities or stages. We have risk assessment and scoping. Then you do the walkthrough and design effectiveness. Then updating of key processes and systems and controls. Then you do the operating effectiveness of the controls, and finally report to the audit committee. This is the fundamentals of COSO framework. I just put this because there are a lot of people who take internal audit as their profession, not just remain an external audit. Few more important considerations, which is very relevant for being an audit profession. One thing which I talked about is the theoretical knowledge. You have to be really updated. You have the cutting edge theoretical knowledge, and which has to be combined with your ability to practically apply in various situations. This doesn't come like this. This comes over a period of time with experience, and there's a huge amount of judgment which is built in over the years. So that's why we believe that a person in the profession can jump to industry, but who's there in industry as a CFO company, to jump into a profession is going to be a real challenge. It's not that easy because this comes up over a period of time. There's so much of judgment involved. This doesn't come up easily. So then, regulations, of course, they differ in different countries, but still the fundamentals of the audit does not change. Person can easily adopt, provided he has the ability to unlearn and relearn. You need to, of course, upskill and upgrade. As I said, there are a lot of, opportunities for information systems audit and fraud examiners. So if you have that skill as well, you are an added advantage. So generic auditor is no more the game now. You need to have the skill sets as well to really be a top-notch professional in this profession. Auditor is expected to be a trusted advisor. It's no more client versus auditors battle. They're together, in the same boat and rowing to the same shore. And of course, we have to maintain the independence, but it's also called a one doctor concept. We have so many accounting scandals nowadays where the auditors are pulled in because you get to do something which you're not supposed to do. But as long as you maintain your independence, there's no conflict of interest. There's no better person than an auditor to be a trusted advisor because you know inside out of the company. But again, as I said, there are rules in different countries and different jurisdictions which have to be, followed. And also each firm will have their own independence rules and conflict of interest rules which need to be adhered to. The increased focus on documentation, I think this is one of the most important things which we have to focus. Not documented, not done. There's a rule everywhere in the world. Any jurisdiction regulator will see when they come for a peer review, they look at regulatory reviews of your audit files. If you say that, I've done this, but I have not documented it the right way. Done. It's not done. That's it. If you have not documented, not done. So very important piece of advice for budding audit professionals. Keep in mind, your audit files can fail if you are not able to document in a proper way. Pay scales, again, this differs across, different firms based on the audit approach, the quality of the, quality control procedures used, what are the documentation requirements, which are inbuilt in the firm, and of course the, clientele base and the firm's market standing. So last few slides, how many minutes I have, Prabdeep? And I don't want to overshoot.
Yeah, you can take 3 to 4 minutes and then I will give you one combined question because many questions are also coming for you.
Okay, so then let's a couple of slides on the recent survey, the Forbes survey on audit and assurance services. I'll share these slides to Prabdeep, and if people want to have that more detailed analysis of this survey, you can have a look at it. I've got a couple of slides. If you see that, there are two segments who are interviewed, auditing professionals and outside the audit profession. If you see the blue graph and the gray graph, and the blue graph says, the audit professionals say audit should be viewed as equally attractive in status, including pay as private equity and investment banking. That's a fundamental. 60, it's got about 60%. I would say respondents, said that. If you see the lowest curve, it has to be more proactive about providing more quality in audits. That means they already believe that they're delivering quality and more proactive approaches there. So that's what the audit professionals believe. But if you see the others outside the audit profession, the other way around, they say that the lowest percentage say that they should be on par with private equity and investment banking, whereas at the highest percentage they have responded that saying you need to be having more quality on audit. So a very interesting graph. And if you see the next where are the changes going to come in? The technology, regulatory environment, global economy, all these things take, I would say more percentages have come into these attributes in terms of the changes which are going to happen. And future skill sets, you need to have investigative financial skills, which is very important. Experience in client industry, critical thinking and judgment. These are again percentages based on the Forbes survey. So people who can really be successful if you have these skill sets embedded in you. It has to be in your DNA to really become a successful auditor. This slide is more of, if you take any multinational firm or any big firms, they normally have this kind of hierarchy. Why I'm saying that, each hierarchy, each level is important. You get to know certain things at each level, and there are mentors for you for each level, and they take you to the career path. One layer by layer, you get to know what is happening on the client, and you move up. So very important to grow gradually based on the mentorship what you have in the firm. So last slide on the benefits and the reward mechanism. Pride of public trust. You have the pride of public trust. You are certifying so many accounts. So your signature is your power. So this is what I always say. When Pradeep said, I'm so proud to say my number 251 is there in every quarter because, I certify to the whole, stakeholders in Qatar that these numbers make sense and these are reliable. You can rely on that. So that is the power which you have from your signature. So very important. So that is the pride of public trust which I talked about. Learning and development, I've discussed enough on that. Stay related to and you have accounting standards changing regularly. You see, last 2 years international financial reporting standards, you had 15, which was implemented in a revenue standard in 2018 and also IFRS 9. Then you had 16, the leasing standard came in 2019. These are all game-changing standards. Unless and until you know everything about this, you cannot service a client. The client will rip you off. You have to be fully aware of what you have to do in terms of application of the standards. And then different industries, again, this is a benefit. You can become a sectoral expert. After a few years, you want to dive into, for example, I was more of an oil and gas person for 18 years. So you get to know more about that sector. What are the different companies within the sector, the business practices, best practices. You can be a speaker on forums. You can write papers. You really become a sectoral expert when you keep on doing that same industry audit across different companies. Team building and leadership skills, this is definitely something which you gain. Sharpening of presentation skills. Overseas mobility programs. Most of the firms have got overseas mobility programs. We had an interesting discussion before this session about what are the opportunities outside. A lot of these firms, whether it's a big four firm or a second year firm, you all have global mobility programs under which you can move into different countries. Competitive salary levels in audit have jumped majorly. I can vouch for that. It's not, 10 years back, what was the salary levels? There's been a big jump on that because you require cutting edge technology or, knowledge oriented people who got all these skills. So you have to pay if you have to retain them. Opportunity for a job taker to become a job giver. A job taker can become a job giver, in a very short period of time. When you set up a practice, you start employing people. So you become an entrepreneur on your own level. So that's again a benefit. Of course, the ICAI, the people who are assembled here, they give continuous support for members in the practice. So these are some of the benefits and rewards. I think I've covered most of what I know about this audit and assurance professor in terms of the overall background, what is important, what are the key considerations and benefits and mechanism. That's about it from my side, Pradeep.
Thank you.
Over to you.
So much, Gopal. I will put you one question together. First point, that pandemic has made the audit difficult. So what changes you may have brought in to make the audit efficient? Thinking a little bit about IT audit, that how it is affecting the audit processes, and risk-based audit, which we have been adopting since many years. So a little bit light on that. And lastly, how KPMG looks at freshers when they are hiring from India in Qatar and Middle East, about the experiences and prerequisites. Yeah.
Sure. The first one on the pandemic, I would say, in every field, we have not been using technology to the fullest extent for so many years. It's an eye-opener. For example, we had MS Teams for so many years, and my laptop, I had MS Teams for many years. I never used it. But now, this has become the order of the day. The whole life revolves around all these platforms, Zoom, MS Teams or WebEx. So, to answer your question, last year when suddenly we got hit by this pandemic, there are a lot of clients who are not ready to give electronic form of documentation for audit evidence. It was an education. It's a journey. We told them how secure is this platform. We have to educate them and get them convinced that they are able to give data in an electronic form which is auditable, which is what we have done. I've got at least about 75% of our engagements for 2020 delivered electronically. People were not allowed to visit our premises. So I think this is going to evolve. This is going to continue, and there will be more and more audits will be done remotely. So that's what I would take my response would be on the first question. The second one is on the
IT audit.
IT audit. As you all know, I know every client, every company has got investment on IT. The reliance on IT is getting more and more for each segment. Previously, it used to be only banking and telecom. Now, across all sectors, you have IT reliance for the data which is being produced for audit. So you need to have the IT specialists embedded in the audit team. For example, we call it information risk management specialists. They're all IT or background. They have done either CISA or other professional qualifications. They know exactly how to test a control, whether it's a application level control or even at the IT general controls. So these are some of the things which they have to do. Without their involvement, general auditor cannot sign off. We have information risk management partner who has to sign off before we actually issue the audit opinion. I think this has become a norm in every single firm to have IT audit embedded in the audit, because otherwise we are not expected to sign off. So that's on this. And then on the
risk-based audit approach.
I think that is something which you have said already. This has already been going on. It's no more number crunching. We are not jumping into the audit the way we want to do it. It's all structural driven, based on the risk of the business, how it translates into audit risk, and then the whole risk assessment is done. We have risk assessment discussions across the audit team. This is documented across audit team, in sense even the specialists whom we involve in an audit, whether it's a valuation specialist or a tax specialist or information risk management specialist, they all assemble together and we discuss as part of the planning discussions. So this is a very important which is the risk assessment discussions, which is documented, which drives the whole audit itself. So I think most of the firms are nowadays doing only risk-based audits, and it will continue to be. And the last one, on terms of hiring, we always hire people from the subcontinent. Indian Chartered Accountants offer a huge pool of resources for audit and accounting, and also our tax and advisory departments we hire majorly from India, and we have Naukri.com or even other public sites, and we also have Roach, meaning campus interviews. Last time we did visit ICAI across different chapters and identified a few people and whom we recruited. So I think that's also an opportunity, and we do look at this as a huge source of pool, which offering high quality accountants and who stay there for longer term as well. So to answer your question, across the region, KPMG or even other big four firms, I can say we have a large pool of Indian accountants, Indian chartered accountants in our overall staff strength.
Yeah, so basically, Gopal, they wanted to ask a question that whether you look at Big Four experience before hiring, like you participated in overseas campus. So basically, what was the average of the people you hired, whether they were having Big Four experience or not?
Yeah. So, yes and no, because there will be preference for Big Four experience, or even I would not say only the four firms. Even there are so many large firms. Having a large firm which has got all this risk-based methodologies inbuilt, will be given a preference. Of course, we don't want to bring in a fresher who has not visited a client, or probably who has done only tax work, to bring in and give a huge audit experience. So there will be a lot of investment which is required from our side to bring them up to the curve. So there will be preference on large firms. Instead of saying Big Four firms, I would say large firms in India who got experience. So preference will be given. But having said that, we have picked up so many budding the chartered accountants who are great quality, who are outside these large firms as well. So it all depends on how they project themselves, how they come out in the interviews.
As you said that, many large firms, like I come from BDO, so everyone is having the audit softwares, and the approach doesn't change significantly. So I think I can also pass a message to the audience that, okay, Big Four may be first prerequisite, but second, having an articleship experience in other large firms also would help. So thank you so much, Gopal, for your time, and many thanks to Nirlip for helping us get you here. And we look forward to see you again soon. And
thank you. Thank you, Pradeep. It's a unique opportunity to meet with 11,000 odd chartered accountants in a platform. This is something unique. I consider it as a great honor to be talking in front of all these budding professionals across different spectrum. I know there are other streams who will talk about this, but they're all welcome to start the journey on audit and assurance profession. I think I've finished about 35 years in one firm so far. It's only KPMG from 34 years now. So you have an opportunity to have a profession for your life, or career for your life, and definitely welcome more people into this profession. Thank you very much again for giving me the opportunity, all this, the committee members, and especially to both of you, Pradeep and Nirlay, for having selected me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and for accepting the invite at such a short notice immediately and helping us conduct the event. Thank you, Prabdeep ji. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. Now I quickly move on to our second domain, taxation and compliance. So we have Senior Rajiv Hira who will be talking about it. Senior Rajiv Hira is a high caliber finance professional with an experience of leading roles in private and multinational financial institutions for over 20 years in the area of technology implementation, process design, risk management, compliance management consultancy. And he is a founder of RHM Seek Management Consultants based out of UAE. He is actively engaged in UAE with large corporates, SMEs and individuals on process design and implementation. He has contributed in development of resources with professional bodies, training institutes and corporates through structured training, seminars and articles. He has been a great contributor to the VAT implementation in UAE. He is having hands-on experience in engaging with regulators and governing bodies in the space of anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism financing, connecting the risk management through system technology and interference. As I said, that he has been a great contributor and support for indirect taxes in Middle East, and he has been actively supporting ICAI in many initiatives. He has also served in the board of Dubai chapter in the past. And please help me welcome Sir Rajiv here for his talk. Rajiv, over to you. A big round of virtual applause for Rajiv.
Thanks, Pradeep ji. I think it's a great opportunity to be with the young chartered accountants. I will say these are the future, and they are going to be the people who are going to hire the new generation very soon. So first of all, let me give a thanks to the chairman, CA Hansraj Chugh of Committee of Members in Industry and Business, Vice Chairman, CA Durgesh Kabraji, and Secretary G. Rangnath ji. And definitely Pradeep ji, thank you very much for you personally. Looking at what we are going to do, I'm just going to share the slides. Give me 1 minute only. I think you can see the slides if everything is...
Yes.
Yes,
yes,
very clear. So I'm going to talk about something on tax and compliance. We heard a lot of good things in the previous session on what are the opportunities available in UAE, Middle East, Africa, all those things we are talking about. Let me give my personal example. So I don't think so you should, maybe if you're not able to get a direct access to the foreign jurisdiction, immediately you should not get disheartened. There are always a step approach. And I have seen maximum people move with the right step approach and they get a very good growth path and the right scale of salaries also. When you move with an experience which maybe you gained from an India perspective. So there are a lot of multinational companies, there are a lot of connected companies which has a presence globally. If you get an opportunity to work with them and then take a step approach, definitely you need to work hard. You need to look at what are the core competencies you need to add up, so that you can move on a different jurisdictions or locations. Like I moved from India to UAE through a multinational company. I was into a corporate world for almost 15 years in the banking industry specifically. And then I started my own practice 4 years back, which was more a desire to do something different and something bigger in a different space. My experience was very, very different, but every time I got an experience, I always looked at, is this my core domain? Am I enjoying it? If yes, then I keep learning on those aspects, and that became my expertise I can talk about. I'm going to talk about taxation and compliance. What are the opportunities? You heard from Mr. Gopal before. Audit is definitely there. This is going to stay. But I give a different perspective on this. Audit is mandatory, so a client has to hire an auditor. But hiring a tax consultant and a compliance officer is not mandatory. He is going to hire you on a job role or as a consultant only when you bring value on the table. So that's a very critical thing which comes into play. It's not a regulatory obligation, it's an obligation to add value. So unless you are ready to add value, this profession is for you. If you're not, then I don't think so. You should look at tax and compliance as an action plan even. But anyway, we'll look at a lot of things which are there. What all is applicable to an organization? So I just picked up from an India perspective. To be honest, I worked almost like 9 years back in India. So a lot of things are changing. A lot of things we are getting connected being a non-resident Indian where the things are applicable to us or our clients. But there are so many things which we may not know, but you have to know when you are getting employed in the India side. Look at a story. I just give a broad perspective you see here. These are all the regulations which are there, which are applicable to the corporate world in India. All these are the acts or sections or regulations which are applicable when you work in the domain area. Now, which is the more critical one for you? You need to look at. You need to look at, can I be an expert to one or a group of activities which help me design my role or activity in a profession side or in a job side. I'll just take a very simple example. If you're into a structure where you say that I'm going to advise the companies on how the right structuring of an organization has to be there, then you need to know definitely the Indian Partnership Act. You need to understand how the Trust Act operates. What are the Companies Act action plans which are there? All these points are interconnected. You cannot take them out. There are a lot of dots which need to be connected when you are getting into a space of compliance or when you're getting into a space of taxation or you're getting into a place of advisory. So these are some of the sections. I will not say all which are there, and definitely there is a space for everyone. But when you pick up a domain area and to become an expert in that domain area, you can fetch any amount of money which you are looking for. Why I'm talking about money? Because a lot of time, even when we were fresher, our first thought process was, let's get the right salary. I will say at the beginning of the career, definitely that should be the focus. But your larger focus should be, let me get the right perspective. Let me get the right domain to get an expertise into. Because the moment you get a right domain and which is aligned with you and you are going to get more experience in those domain area, the demand will be yours what salary you want, not the otherwise. I will say that. So these are very core domain. I can tell you like intellectual property law is something which is becoming a very prominent with the IT industry coming up very heavily. If you are looking at securing your intellectual property, whether it's a brand, logo, website, whatever name you talk about, it's becoming a very specialized service. There are very few professionals in that field which are there. Liquidation is one thing. So there are so many fields which are there which need to be looked at. So these are some of the examples which are given from an India perspective, which you can look at. Now coming straight away to the compliance. Normally we use a single word as compliance, but I can say we can break it to 3 broad pillars. Every organization works on these pillars, especially I can say the financial organizations, insurance, BFSI, which we can talk about. And any organization which has a holding structure or a larger corporate structure definitely want to work on 3 broad pillars. And these are very important pillars. First, corporate governance. I'm sure you must have seen that, but I'm just giving you what are the positions which are available in those areas. Now, these are not the generic people, I will say. These are the pure experts in their respective domain area. When we say of corporate governance, risk management or compliance, a lot of time we intermingle that. But let me give a small example which can help you understand what is the difference between all 3. When I say corporate governance, we are talking about how the structure or how the hierarchy of an organization is working, how the board meetings are conducted, what kind of a risk management escalations are happening. If I have to complain someone, whom I should go and complain. Example at home also, when there is something goes wrong, you know who to complain, right? So there is definitely at a home, there is a bureaucracy or there is a hierarchy which is there. If a complaint has to go to mother first and you go to father, you know how the issue will go into the wrong direction. So you need to know what is the corporate governance structure for an organization. There is always a protocol which need to be followed. There is always a escalation metrics which need to be followed. There are always a process or steps which need to be followed to get into the right direction for solution. So that's very important thing to look at. Next comes the risk management. I need to understand the risk of the organization first before I go to any other place. I need to know what are the risks which are prevalent in this organization which is going to happen. So the risk management team technically keeps looking at what are the threats which are there in the organization, unit, department, whichever role you are operating in. Example, if I know I have a risk of a fire, then I had done only one task. I have identified the risk. Then, as Mr. Gopal has very clearly said on the COSO framework, we do a lot of action plans. Okay, now I identified the risk. Let me see how I work it on so that this does not occur to the organization. I'll give a very simple example in this. I know fire is a risk, then I need to have a fire extinguisher. And I need to keep checking whether that fire extinguisher is having a pass certificate. That means the life is not expired and it is still valid to be used. A simple example, risk management is identifying the risk, and compliance is looking at what the risk management has identified and the solutions brought up on the table are getting compliant or not. Very strict rules, very strict action plans in the organization we have seen, and this need to be looked at in a very effective way. Very, very broad one. So you heard me what I talked about the governance officer role or the compliance officer. With a paucity of time, I will skip some of the definitions which I've used. It will help you take it forward. I have anyway given the perspective in the previous slides. Now again, one thing which keep talking about as a tax consultant. So how the tax consultant operates. So this is an expert in knowledge and accounting within the framework of operations. Communication and interactive skills that make them understand the accounting and taxation needs. Very important thing. Decision making and analytical skills that allow them to shape the finance and investment of the client in such a way that they are compliant, and both words are important, compliant and. Don't look at straight away, skip the compliant and have to pay the minimum taxes. So as a tax consultant, we always define and design such a way that we advise clients in such a way that they pay minimum taxes, either because of the organization structure, because of the jurisdiction we go, because of the tax planning we do, or whatever mechanism we use. The word is compliant and minimum tax. Both has to be looked at. I've seen a lot of people just slip on the compliant word, which is not the right way to look at. A consultant is a consultant who advises in the right directions, whether you are a part of an employee or you're advising from outside. Now, experts need to connect the dot. This is where the things comes into play. A lot of people still tell me, Rajiv, why you did 15 years of job and then you came into the practice. That job gave me a level of connect because I worked in the larger organization. I worked in multinational organization as working or locations which are multidimensional, multi-locations that helped me pick up the dots in the right way. I could see the bigger picture. I could see the bigger aspect. So that is most important for me to serve what I'm serving right now. Now we are not only going to look at what is happening locally, we need to look at internationally also. I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes from now. So when we're talking about Indian taxation, it's always we need to understand why the regulation or legislation is designed the way it is designed. We are not supposed to look at the verbatim. This we learned in the law again and again. Don't look at only verbatim, look at the intent of the law also. So whenever you are getting into a practice side or into the taxation team in the organization, don't look at the verbatim, don't look at the easy steps, look at why it is being designed the way it is designed. That's the most important thing. Now, this is the most important jargon which we keep talking on a legal framework side. If the facts are against you, talk about the law. And if the law is against you, argue the facts. The example, if murder is a crime, we know that. The person has done a murder. Now, how can you prevent that person? You can only prevent the person by giving the facts. Example, the facts can be the person has done a murder not because of anything else, but because of the self-defense. Now, what I am doing here, I know the law is murder has a punishment, but I'm getting into the fact side here. I'm giving facts which are maximum. The story. So why the regulatory changes happen? Do you think we have smart regulators? My answer is yes, we have smart regulators to change the regulatory framework, but we have more smarter fraudsters, or the people who create disaster, because they tell us that you have this lacuna and hence we played on that. And then the regulators go back and revise the lacunas. So I can tell you this is not a clean world. The world is going to be evolved as you keep moving on. When you look at a law, a framework, there is a framework. But every time something happens at a bigger level or something happens at a regulatory level, the regulation changes. Quick story. Now, if you know 1992, this is what we know, Harshad Mehta, 1992 scam. I think a lot of people have seen that web series and going to see a movie very soon. What changed this? What triggered this? Bank and stock exchange regulations. So banks have changed a lot of norms. Stock exchange regulations have changed a lot of norms. Learning from those errors or the gaps or the lacunas which were there. September 11, 2001, this is the World Trade Center. We know what happened. And because of this, I can tell you globally, lakhs and lakhs of jobs were created under the space of anti-money laundering and international sanctions. Because the regulatory framework has seen a small value which is used for terrorist financing can create such a bigger disaster. Can we control that? Yes, we can. I will say the World Trade Center has lost immense amount of wealth, immense amount of people, but the bigger amount or the bigger impact which was done is in the industry. Industry has evolved completely different. There are a lot of new regulations which has come up. There are a lot of new jobs which has come up on the compliance side to making it more effective and action oriented. If you can see this slide, I will be sharing the slides at the later stage. So if you should see this slide, it's a very clear. On the sanction space, a lot of banks, a lot of large organizations have got huge amount of penalties which are in millions and billions of dollars. So this is not a joke. It's not about the penalty only. It's a reputation which comes on the stake and comes on the risk. And hence, the compliance jobs are becoming much more in demand on account of AMLs or sanction space. Again, one more story, which is 2007, 2008. We know on a subprime mortgage crisis which happened where the mortgage loans were being used as a wrap-up transaction, and the crisis came into the banking industry itself. A lot of immediate financial organizations which were having immense strength got completely wiped out. So this has strengthened the Basel norms. Again, this is coming to the banking industry on a specific Basel norms from a compliance perspective, and this is becoming one of the core area where capital adequacy, judgment or validation is becoming a key critical aspect for every bank. Enron 2001, accounting standards got changed completely because of the Enron story. So my take is coming up. Keep looking at the industry, keep looking at what's happening. And if you can see the 6 pillars, 6 action plans, which I can show you on the screen, these are the core critical activities which has happened, which have changed the way how things are moving in. And these are international compliance I'm talking about. FATCA, foreign accounting and tax compliance, coming from the US side, where all the information, of US nationals or US residents are being shared globally. OECD has come up with common reporting standard, where again, all the banks are collecting the information and passing on to various jurisdictions. Transfer pricing, we know from a accounting perspective, is becoming a key critical activity. Economic substance regulation, where every organization or every country is looking at, are you having a substance where you're doing the business or not? Country by country reporting, CBCR, anyone who is having a global turnover of more than euro 750 million is getting trapped into this common reporting, country by country reporting, where you report everything, what you do. Basel, I just talked about. This is again the banking story where capital adequacies are being checked. Are banks having a right adequacy or a right capital to take the risk what they're taking? It's becoming all critical aspects and all are very, very dominating space. I'll stop the presentation here. Just to give a broad and the short perspective here, compliance is becoming a key role. But I'll say this is not a generic role. This is a very specialized role. You need to understand the intricacies. You should be having a capacity to connect the dots. If some transaction is happening the way it is happening, why it is happening, and what are the implications which can have at a global level. In India, we have seen a story where if someone has got into a wrong direction, all the legislations comes and put action plan or penalties on them. We have seen if anyone has got caught into something like a smuggling, The FEMA also come into play. GST also comes into play. Income tax also comes into play. So every transaction has multiple implications. This is what we need to look at. I'll hold up here. Thank you very much. Back to Prabdeep for any questions or
Thanks, Rajiv. Quickly, we don't have time, but if you, there are almost four of the participants have asked about transfer pricing. Therefore, if very shortly in a minute you can touch about how to look at opportunities in transfer pricing. And another question is how did you switch to taxation from the banking industry? So these two questions are multiple participants have asked. If you can quickly, shortly answer this, and then we move on to the second.
So first thing is transfer pricing. So as the transfer pricing itself says, there are bilateral trades or bilateral agreements which are there globally, where every country has a bilateral agreement with other country. Example. So when you are looking at a transfer pricing and you have entities in various jurisdictions, you need to read those bilateral agreements. You need to read Indian income tax and the country income tax where you are having your maybe subsidiary or a branch or whichever related party. And both those actions need to be looked at, and then you can advise. A lot of time I will say it's not possible to do everything in one go. What we do is we take advice from the jurisdiction in which I need an answer for. But you need to understand what questions need to be asked for to work into this practice. Second question, Pradeepji, as you asked for, what made me move from a banking to a taxation domain? It's a journey, I say. Learn to connect the dots. This is the most important thing I will say. When you are reading a law, you need to understand why that is written the way it is written. My experience in the banking industry taught me very effectively as part of the operational risk, as part of the risk management, that when you are reading something or when you are writing a process or a policy document, which may be an internal document, why you are writing and what is the intention behind writing that document. So that helped me immensely to read the legislations, to read the law and move into this domain. Thank you very much. Back to you, Prabdeep.
Thank you so much. Now we move on to quickly. We have just 20 minutes left, but we may have to extend by 5 or 10 minutes. We will move to now technology. I know that Jay has a capability to cover it very fast. So, Jay Prakash Agarwal is a rank holder, a chartered accountant with 15 plus years of experience across industry ranging from consultancy, technology, telecommunication, manufacturing and healthcare. He was part of GST implementation in India and is actively involved in VAT implementation for a major player in healthcare industry in UAE. He is a VAT enthusiast and loves talking about VAT and its implications. Recently, his articles were published in Khalij Times, the longest running English newspaper in UAE. His experience is not only limited to pondering on VAT, but he is also an Oracle consultant who takes care of implementation of Oracle e-business suite. Jay is another person who has significantly contributed to the VAT implementation in UAE and other Middle East countries like Bahrain, and now we are looking at Oman. And though he is working in VAT domain, but he's a technology man, a pure technology man, I would say, a best, which everyone talks about, 5,000 members in UAE. So please help me welcome CA Jay Prakash Agarwal, a rank holder chartered accountant, with a big round of virtual applause. Thank you.
Prabhuji, I mean, that was something extraordinary you introduced. I mean, let me start with something. The platform which students are getting is something phenomenal. I mean, something which I wanted when I was being a chartered accountant. Thanks to Hansraj Sukh sir for doing it as chairman of CIMB. Also, Durgesh Kabraji, vice chairman. And thanks to you for, it's a holiday in UAE, but I can see Prabdeep ji, Raghunath sir sitting there taking the pain of conducting these sessions for you. Thank you. Thanks a lot for that. And without waiting, we'll start with the presentations. I know you have already given me sign that I have to complete fast, so I will not wait.
Yeah, there was a request to go slow in between, but we will have to move fast here. Yeah.
Perfect. You can see the slides.
Yes.
Perfect. Careers in technology with my dear friends. KBC सबने खेला है, ठीक है? KBC सबने देखा है बचपन से. My first question, why technology after CA? You have done chartered accounting, right? You are number players. You have done numbers. You are compliance. You are reporting players. Why you want to come into technology? Why technology is allowing you to come? I will give you 4 options. You have to select, okay? And you have to put in your comments. And after you put in comments, Prabhuji will be telling me, okay, where exactly the comments are going. First option, technology companies are offering tech career opportunities, campus recruitment. So since you are getting an option, the supply is there. You just want to go there and grab it, okay? Second, you are bored with audit and taxation and want to explore something new. Audit देख लिया आपने, taxations देख लिया, you want to explore technology now. That can be your second option where you want to go for. Your third option, technology is giving you a good salary range. It's future. Salary range अच्छी दिख रही है. I want to opt for it. That is the third reason. And fourth is technology is my passion and I love spending hours trying to succeed. What is your option? I give you 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start chatting. Start putting in your chats. Prabdi ji can see it. Sir, क्या लग रहा है? क्या बोल रहे हैं students?
Yeah, it takes little time, Jay. So I will request to please put on your comments very fast. We would like to see as many comments as possible. Reason 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Yes. So still it has to come.
Okay.
Jay, there's a question which has come on in international taxation. If Rajiv is here, if you or Rajiv, anyone can comment until the comments come quickly on international taxation opportunity.
Sir, international taxation, if you want to do it, you have to be alert on your toes. You cannot say that I know international taxation, I have cleared my examinations. As Rajiv clearly said, or he was right on the point when he said you have to understand different taxation laws across. I mean, when you say international taxations, you have to understand DTA, double taxation avoidance agreement signed between 2 countries. When you are doing it, it's not possible literally you know all of them. It comes from experience. If you have handled a case in past, you know about it, how to handle it. So it comes with experience. If you want to pursue, go for it. Try to take DTAs between Middle East, Africa, India, and to that matter, Canada as well. You can take it because Canada is pumping up chartered accountants or ramping up chartered accountants in right manner. So you can look into that. But you have to start looking into the DTAs, transfer pricing rules, ESRs, what exactly the compliance says, and then you can go into international taxations. But it will take a while. Fundamentals are same. Sir.
Right. Yeah, so maximum, it's a balance between 3 and 4. The comments, and very maybe just 1 or 2 people have said 1 or 2 as the reason. So 3 and 4 rules here.
Okay. So look, if 1 or 2 or 3 is your reason, technology is not for you. Okay. If you are driven by salary range, if you are driven by boredom, if you are driven by opportunities coming your way, it is not for you. For pursuing technology, you have to have that passion. Why? If you ask me, I'll give you one more reason. Technology is like mathematics. किसने हीरोपंती देखी है? You have seen in हीरोपंती there is a dialogue, सबको आती नहीं, मेरी जाती नहीं. It's the same thing. Technology goes with the same logic. What it means is mathematics looks difficult, but if you are able to practice it with passion, you can contribute, or it can contribute immensely to your scorecard. You will score high if you try to understand maths, if you have passion for maths. Similarly for technology, what happens is if you have that passion within you, it will immensely contribute to your career. Otherwise it will not do it. So सबको आता नहीं है, लेकिन जिसको आता है वो कर सकता है. That is the takeaway. But how? What exactly you want us to do? Let's see one more slide. What is this? This is basically a buffet. Okay. And when I say buffet, what I mean is you go to any organization, you will join at least one organization, right? In your campus recruitment. When you join there, you will see a buffet of applications. When I say buffet of applications means they'll be using multiple systems. I have not seen in my 15 years career span, I have not seen one organization saying, okay, I only use one system and I'm able to achieve everything out of it. No, it's always a buffet of systems. You pick and choose multiple systems to run the show. And that is why I call it a buffet of systems. And when you see a buffet of system, think about it. Forget about technology. Think about buffet. How exactly it works. You start with the starter. After the starter, you go for the main course. And main course, you go with the dessert, right? That is how you do it. Similarly, when it's a buffet of applications, you should decide where to start, what will be your main course or what you want to achieve in your life, and then end with a dessert where you are at highest peak in your career and you are delivering it and you are satisfied that you have done well in your life. Okay. How exactly you decide when buffet is let down? How exactly you decide what item is called starter? Either your family has helped you initially to understand this is a starter, or your friends has helped you. And once they have helped you and you have a little amount of experience and you go to any of the buffets, you know which is called starter, right? Initially helped by friends, and then your experience helps you to understand what is starter, what is main course, and what is a dessert. Similarly for application, I'm sitting here today. In this 10 minutes, 15 minutes which I have, I will try to explain you what is starter for you. Okay. And after that starter, once you have the experience, you know what is the main course, what you have to pick, and then you know what is the dessert and where you want to end your career with. Okay. Now, I have given you the brief. I have given you the analogy. Now let's go hardcore in technology. When I talk about technology and when I say buffet of application, what I exactly mean is, I'll give you broader terms. ERP. What is ERP? You have read it. आपने टेक्नोलॉजी का पेपर दिया है, you have done ITSM paper, you know what is ERP. ERP is enterprise resource planning. In my days, we were not very practical. We used to go see the chapter, understand it, what are the important questions, revision paper उठाओ, last year papers उठाओ, exam दे दो. Sir, that is not the case. If we follow practically, this tells us many things which we need to learn. Any organization where you will join, you will find something called ERP. Enterprise resource planning can be any software, can be multiple brands. हर चीज में ब्रांड्स आते हैं, एप्लीकेशंस में भी ब्रांड्स हैं. इट कैन बी Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, it can be Tally, it can be anything, right? ERP. What is CRM? Client relationship management, to handle the external parties. How to know which client I'm catering to, what types of promotions I can give, which promotions are actually working and I should pursue further to increase my sales. That is called customer relationship management, CRM tool. It's completely different from ERP and it's only for increasing your sales. CRM, external party. What is HCM? Human capital management. If you have internal employees, you have to have one system for managing those employees, their performance, their skill set, where exactly they need improvements, who is the manager, how many leaves they can take. Everything is catered by HCM and payroll system. And then something I've put in just for simplicity, just to understand algebra ki tarah, sir. For all my friends, this is algebra. I'm putting something constant for you. Otherwise, it will be really complicated. Industry specific means if you are into healthcare, you might have a HIS system, which we call Health Information System. If you're into manufacturing, it is MES, manufacturing system. MES 2 has come in. If you are into telecommunication, they have a unique system of prepaid and postpaid deductions. I'm not able to recall the name. So industry specific applications are also there. There are multiple applications. I'm talking about technology. On top of it, when you have so many applications, sits a consolidation tool, because you want to understand where exactly your business is moving. If you only take ERP, you are only getting financial numbers. You have to club with CRM to understand what exactly the average customer bringing you as revenue, which product or which offers are doing good. So you have to club them. For that you need consolidation tools that sits on top of all your applications. Followed by, there's something called business intelligence tools. Business intelligence helps you to understand where you're moving. Consolidation will only do the consolidation for you. BI will give you graphical representations. We discussed, if few of you have already attended our sessions on last time we did 7-day program, you have already seen. If you have a graphical representations, you are able to appreciate what exactly it brings to the table rather than tables or raw data. Since graphs are there, business intelligence helps you to create those graphs effortlessly. That is why business application intelligence is required. And after this is basically for your current business. If you have current business, these 3 applications or these 3 forums or these 3 ladders can help you. But if you want to forecast, kya achieve karenge, aage what can happen, you need big data, machine learning, data science, artificial intelligence. It sits on the top. It helps you to forecast aage kya hoga. You have big data. Why big data? Is because you are sitting on huge data, structured and unstructured. Machine learning to help them to understand what exactly that data is saying. Right now, what we do right now, chartered accountants like you, MBAs like you, sit there and analyze the data. But it's a human way of doing it. Now we are coming up with systems which is doing machine learning. We are enabling the machine to understand what is the pattern, and based on the pattern, give me a forecast. It involves data science. What is data science? More of statistics along with technology. More of statistics along with technology is called data science, and artificial intelligence to forecasting. This is complete buffet, and there are multiple elements. You know about pickle, you know about papad. I have not told you what is pickle, what is papad here. I have only given you what is starter, what is main course, what is dessert. There are multiple things attached to it. One big term you might want to know is blockchain. What is blockchain? If you want outside world to trust your system, not only by way of saying, yes, I trust it, with their money, right? If you want, say for example, if I say, okay, give me your money, I will maintain it. Anytime you want to ask what is the money available, I will tell you the balance. You will not trust me, right? But the moment I say I'm on blockchain, you start trusting it. Blockchain is another era. If you want, I can give 3 hours session on blockchain for you. But for simplicity, if you want outside world to believe in you, you need something called blockchain. Blockchain gives that trust or builds that trust. How? Right now, I'm not covering in interest of time, but that trust building is done by blockchain, that anyone can rely on you, not verbally, but also with their money, right? That is called blockchain for me. In simple terms, what is RPA? All these processes, if can be automated, is called RPA, robotic process automation, but has to be logical process. It should not be I'm doing from my experience. It has to be a logical step. It has to be a structured step. Then only any of this application you can pick and choose and do a RPA. This is complete buffet. When I said buffet, this is buffet of application. You go to any organization you join, you will find it. When you see this, where you are comfortable, can you just type in and say where exactly you are comfortable? I will not wait for it. Reason being, there is a delay in your replies and responses coming in. But where do you think you are comfortable? Do type in so that you are clear that where exactly you are moving. If I'm in your shoes, I'm starting my career, my comfort level will be ERP.
Yeah.
Right?
Jay, many have read that technology is our passion and it challenges us. But I would like to make a specific mention of Vashu, who has written a very big comment. There is no time to read that, and there is no time to read individual comments. Sorry for that. But Vashu had written a big 100 words para on this. So thanks, Vashu. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Vashu. Thanks for that. So right now, let's say after seeing this and you are stepping into your career right now, your first step will be, for me, is ERP. Okay. And when I talk about ERP, let's see what exactly ERP covers. ERP again has multiple modules in it. Right now, when you're going for campus, Pradeep requested Jay cover something on what exactly these technology companies, when they're coming for campus, what exactly they are looking into students or into fresh qualified chartered accountants. Sir, they are looking mostly into ERP modules. They don't want you to be expert on blockchain right now. They are not looking for artificial intelligence from you, because you are fresh chartered accountants. You have to start your journey on technology. You start with ERP modules. What exactly ERP modules covers? It covers supply chain management, which includes your procurement, order management, procurement, many more. How to do a requisition, request for item, how to raise a purchase order on the supplier, how to receive those items. All these are covered in supply chain management. How to internally place the order if available in another organization. In another organization, that is called supply chain management. Similarly, manufacturing. Manufacturing, if you are into manufacturing hub, bill of material, what exactly the bill of material is, what are the items to be mapped, how many quantities will be used for manufacture a finished product. When you reach to the end of a period, how many items will be lying in work in progress, whether it's a discrete manufacturing, process manufacturing, all these are covered in manufacturing module. Financials, supplier balances, supplier invoices, supplier payments, customer balances, customer invoices, customer receipts, journal ledgers, provisions, cash management, bank-to-bank transfers, fixed assets, depreciation, taxes. Everything is covered in financials. Field services, after sales, customer service is covered here. Project suite, if you have a specific project, like in construction, you go for a site, you take one site, you do the construction there. That is called one project for you. That is called project suite. You want project-wise profitability for each of the sites. Then you need project suite, which includes project billing, project costing, project resource management, project management. Lease management is another site. If you are into property management, you need to maintain leases. Then there's something called property management, lease management. All these are different modules. Again, one more question to you. After seeing all these modules, which module gives you comfort right now? Are you comfortable with all the modules saying we understand, or which is the basic module where you say, this module is something where I'm very comfortable with and I can pursue? 15 seconds. We are just reducing the time because we are just struggling with the time. 15 seconds, think about it.
We have one more speaker, very heavy agenda today. So apologies.
No problem. Sir, move on kar raha hu. Okay.
Yes.
ERP modules, most probably the answer which I'm expecting, if I'm in your shoes, I can understand your thought process to your financials. Sir, suna hua hai. A chartered accountant है payable, receivable, journal ledger मुंह पे रहता है. So obviously financials is your target. When you talk about financials, I'm telling you, my dear friends, not only you, the companies which are coming for campus recruitment is hiring chartered accountants for these financial modules only. I'm not saying they will not hire for supply chain management, manufacturing, but primary focus will always be on financials, because you are chartered accountants. No one can understand numbers better than you. No one understands debit and credit better than you. So this is what the target is. Now, moving on, if these are the modules and these are the buffet, what exactly my role will be? How exactly my career will shape up in technology? So my dear friends, when you start your career, you become a functional consultant. Who is a functional consultant? Sir, your domain. Say for example, let me take an example of financials. If you are a functional consultant for financials, you will be handling AP, AR, GL, FA, cash management. Sir, what I will do? These are the applications created by technology persons. Do they understand debit and credit? No. You are the right person to understand debit and credit. Now, when I go to the customer and I install these applications, someone has to say to the system, okay, I want my liability account as my, this is my liability account and should come when I book an invoice. Who understands liability? Do you think a technology person doing a SQL will understand it? No. You as a functional consultant understands what is a liability account and where exactly it should come. When you book an invoice, it should come in credit. Okay, expense should come in debit. When I make the payment, liability should go and set in debit. Who understands? You understand. That is why the companies are coming to you and hiring you as functional consultants, because you have your accounting, debits and credit numbers ability, and you will help them to achieve or deploy their product successfully at the client location. What is the span? Sir, it depends on your capabilities. Roughly, I take it as 3 years when you understand functional consultant role. Sir, we understand debit credit. Sir, you understand debit and credit, but you are not understanding is you also need to learn the application. You go to SAP, you go to Oracle, they have their own ways of doing the functions. You have to understand those functions. You have to understand where to define this liability account, where to define the bank account, which account to be selected. If there's a discount, which account to be selected. All these will be taught to you. 3 years career, you will know financials, you know debit and credit, you will understand the application where you are getting enrolled or where you are getting selected. That is 3 years functional consultant. Then what do? You move to techno-functional consultant. What is techno-functional consultant? You know your part of application. Now you can handle application. You know accounting. Third part is how to debug these applications if there's an error. Sir, errors are everywhere. Errors, not only human makes error, application also makes error. When application makes error, techno-functional consultant's job is to help them identify and fix them up. That becomes your second role when you move up the hierarchy, techno-functional consultant. Moving on, solution architect. What is solution architect? From finance, if you start taking supply chain, if you also start taking manufacturing, if you start taking field services, now you are becoming a solution architect. You are picking everything. You are now understand end-to-end role. You are not sticking to one module and you are going across modules. Now you are becoming a solution architect or a project management. Sir, I'm not getting comfort in solution architect. No problem. You move to project management. All these projects of client need to be managed by someone. As a chartered accountant, you can manage it. You understand what needs to be delivered, how to be delivered, move into a project management role. Sir, done. What next? Product principal consultant or delivery head. What is product principal consultant? You understand that application in and in out. You will be directly dealing with clients to sell them or how exactly this will be delivered. That is called product principal consultant. Who is delivery head? Who manages multiple projects. As project management, you are managing one project or couple of projects. As delivery head, you are managing 10 projects. That is delivery head. And last is industry expert, where you go and say, I'm not dependent on application. I'm an industry expert of insurance, of banking, of healthcare, and I can deliberate on it or tell you what is the best practices. Then you become an industry expert. That is your career. The total career span will take you somewhere around 20 to 25 years to reach till industry expert. Then you can say, I know, I understand, and say, I can deliver it. That is for industry expert. Moving on, if you are starting your career right now, I will not focus on others, what you need to do. As a functional consultant, what you are required to do. Sir, as a functional consultant, your roles will be this. If you're joining the job now, first thing will be business process documentation. Business process documentation means what? You go to the client, understand their requirement, or if you already have an on-site consultant, he will tell you the requirement and you have to document it. What is documentation? Creating a flowchart. What is flowchart creation? You already know, you have done it, right? The same flowchart is created with start and stop button, and you try to put in the entire process with yes and no, saying, okay, if this happens, then this will be the process. That is called flowchart. That is business process documentations. You have to ensure all the requirements of the client is captured in it. If there are gaps, that also you have to clearly spell it out. I'm telling you from my experience, out of 100 requirements of client, you will be able to meet 80. If you are able to meet 80, you have done your job. 20 will always be a gap. If you are able to meet 100, you are better than me. I'm telling you, I have seen 80% compliance, 20% will always be a gap. You have to give work around. You have to say, so sorry, your process is not right. You have to fine tune it. That is called business process documentation. Second is application configuration. Once you have documented the process, the second role of functional consultant is to configure the application. This is where your training will be. You understand debit and credit, but after understanding debit and credit, you need to understand that application so that you can configure it successfully and give it to your client for saying, please use it now, and you can book your transactions. The systems which users were talking in audit, in taxes, is basically user driven. You have already configured it. They are using the configured system. Your role as a technology person or partner is you have to configure that application properly as per the business process document and give it to the client. Next, to be process quality testing. Sir, you have done the configuration, right? System is ready, but you have to test it out as well. Once you test it out, then only know, yes, this is fine. I have not missed any step. Otherwise, you might have missed it and you will not come to know. Fourth, training documentation. After you have tested, system is working fine. You have done the configuration as well. Now user testing. You have to release the system for user testing. User will test it out. But when user is testing how exactly he will test it out, you have to give him a document saying, okay, this is the document. It has all the screenshots, step by step, follow it and do your transactions. The system is new for the user minded. So your role is to create that documentation, show the cycle to the user, and he will be able to do it. That is your fourth job. And the last job, bridge between business and technical consultant. Sir, you are the interpreter between business or your on-site consultant and the technical consultant. If on-site consultant is speaking in functional language, you have to understand with your experience what exactly needs to be communicated to technical person. It's like one person is speaking French, second is speaking German. You are the bridge who understands both the system and trying to interpret and tell them what exactly they need to do. That is your fifth job. This fifth job you will be able to achieve only in your third year or second year of, or rather third year or fourth year of your career. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, 4 should be your focus to achieve in 1 to 3 years. This is your functional consultant role, and I'm almost done. This is my last slide, 7:35. I will not take more time. Do you remember what is this? Sir, Prabhu साहब क्या था ये? Buffet था. Sir, मैंने buffet में there is no rules where to start, where to end. Similarly, in technology, there is no rule कि मैंने जो बताया आपको वही pick करना है. You have to eat that. You have to consume that. No, sir, it's your own choice. First, what you love. Pick up in front of the buffet what you love. उसको pick करिए, उसको pursue करिए. But it takes time, and that is what it takes. And let time लगेगा, develop होने दीजिए, and you will actually enjoy it. Thank you very much. All the best to you in your careers, and wish you. Thanks a lot. Prabhu, you back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay. You know, this is functional consultant. You explained very beautifully. Every day, almost 20 questions used to come on this. And so that's why it was very important. Many doubts are cleared. Many have said they liked it. Shivani has written a long comment. So I would like to make a mention of Shivani name. Others, please don't get irritated or disheartened from me. There are many comments and there are many questions. There are no end to the questions, so we cannot take now. We'll take only 15 minutes of more time of yours, and we will complete Sujit's session. Our senior apologies have been waiting since long. Sujit is a chartered accountant, company secretary, and cost accountant. He is also one of the youngest triplets to clear all the professional qualifications at the age of 23. He currently works for Deloitte in Qatar as an assistant director in their financial advisory services. Prior to joining Deloitte, 5.5 years with PwC in Doha, 6 years with Deloitte, specializing in financial due diligence services for private equity and corporate clients in various sectors. Sujit has got a wide range of both acquisition and vendor financial due diligence, providing them with a broad range of information for the manufacturing, retail, consumer, and industrial applications. So, Sujit, over to you. A big virtual round of applause for Sujit. Sujit, I think there's some problem with your voice. I think it's coming from you, so just check on it.
Hi, Prabdeep. Am I very loud and clear now?
No, you are loud and clear, but there's some noise which is coming from background. I think maybe when we use mic, that comes up. So just, if you can just tell maybe that's the reason.
I'm absolutely sitting in a quiet room, not sure of the noise.
Now it's, I think. Earlier it was coming when I was reading your profile. Yeah.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah, I sincerely thank the core committee members for organizing this wonderful program and giving me this great opportunity to address you all today. Apologies, I'm not taking names. I have curtailed my speech today. Hello, my dear fellow chartered accountants. Welcome to the family. Congratulations to each and every chartered accountant of November 2020. Also, congratulations to your parents, teachers, your friends, and everyone who have helped you get where you are today. You've passed one of the difficult examinations in difficult times that our generation has ever seen. So what next? Your life has just begun now. What are your career options? Don't worry, I'm here to talk you through about my own journey and my career in transaction advisory services. I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, Sujit. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a brief profile of who I am.
I think slideshow you haven't changed, Sujit.
Yeah. I'm not going to spend much time on this. Obviously, I want to touch base upon a couple of points on this slide. Already, Prabdeep has explained a very brief detail about me. You would obviously see the passions. I'm again not going to touch upon all of these icons here. It is most important for you to kind of develop the passion across your career because it keeps you alive and it will help you to be successful in both professional and personal lives. As you might know, for the last 5 years, being a chartered accountant, you are thoroughly busy with your articleship, attending coaching classes, writing examinations. So whatever interests that you had, you've all of them kept it aside. And now it is time to reignite all of that passion that will help you drive to take you forward. And there's another point I'd like to talk about this on this slide. Obviously, I've started my career in 2008. I've joined GT and I've done my articleships in Audit. I've been there for like 3 years and I qualified and I joined Deloitte. You can see there was a gap between here 2011 to 2012. I was very, very adamant saying that I need to be choosing the profile what I actually want. With that adamancy, I have lost 8 months of time. So in these difficult times, I would strongly urge you to take whatever comes your way. Don't wait for the profile that you always wanted to get into. Obviously, once you join it, you can always kind of keep hunting for the profile that you always wanted to join. Yeah. So after joining Deloitte, I spent 3 years of my time. I joined PwC, spent 5.5 years in Doha, and then I've joined back Deloitte again. So these are the brief topics that I would like to discuss today to help you understand what transaction advisory services is, what are the range of services that an accounting firm offers, what are the differences between an audit and FTD, and how would your career be in your transaction services, what are the personal traits that you need to possess, and your career timeline, and what are the 6 options that you would be availing as you progress in your career. As you know, each firm calls with a different name because they have their own autonomy to choose and pick their name. And within each firm, each geography calls or have the different names. Transaction advisory services is also known as financial advisory services, deals, strategy, and transactions. Each firm calls a different name. And within this service line, there are multiple business units. You have transaction services, you have forensic services, you have strategy and operations, you have debt restructuring and capital advisory, you have corporate finance. And within these each business units, you have again multiple products which a corporate or a reputed accounting firm has to offer. So today's discussion is more about the transaction services. Let me help you understand. You might be hearing a lot of things about mergers and acquisitions, the transaction, the lead advisory, the corporate finance, the valuation, the due diligence, all of this jargon. You might be getting confused of what all of this is. So I'm here to kind of explain you in an overall M&A life cycle, the various legs to it. And at each of the leg, you will have each of the expertise with having relevant experience to kind of help for a transaction to happen. In a typical M&A life cycle, as you might see, I have summarized this here. You'll have an acquisition strategy. You will have an M&A search criteria. You would screen the companies that you would want to invest in. You would plan how to kind of acquire it. You would do an indicative valuation analysis to see if the buyer and seller are in line with the price point. You would negotiate and come to a baseline. You would perform a due diligence to see if there are any hidden liabilities, to see if there are any non-recurring operations in the company. You would come to a sale and purchase agreement draft, and you would figure out a financing strategy. Like is it going to be a debt infusion or equity infusion? And the last one is the closing strategy. And within this whole of the M&A cycle, today's topic will be on the due diligence. What are the various types of due diligence that you would have come across as part of your CA curriculum? You would have studied about financial due diligence, commercial due diligence, operational due diligence, legal due diligence, IT due diligence. So all of these are the various types of due diligence where an investor needs to get comfortable on. So these are the various work streams, the various teams that an investor would like to deploy to conduct a thorough search or investigate. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. My sincere apologies, Suchi.
Yeah, no problem. So these are the various types of due diligence that a company has to offer, but where a chartered accountant will fit in is in the financial due diligence and valuations. So why do we do a due diligence? And what are the different products that a transaction services as a business unit has to offer? So typically a transaction services team will offer you a buy-side FDD, a sell-side financial due diligence, a vendor assistance, carve-outs, and integrations. I will explain through what a typical buy-side FDD is. I am not going to touch upon all other products, but in the interest of time. Say, for example, you have a private equity client or a corporate client who is interested in investing in a target entity. That target entity can be a retail company, a manufacturing company, a textiles company, or a food and beverage company. It can be anything. He would want to kind of invest in that company to maximize his investment and get maximum returns. So what would your client do? He would come to an accounting firm. He will appoint an accounting firm to conduct an acquisition financial due diligence on the target entity. So once the client appoints, the accounting firm will get in touch with the target entity, and the target entity opens its books of accounts to an accounting firm to conduct a due diligence engagement. So this is more or like similar to an audit, and once you perform a due diligence, you would submit a report delivering or summarizing your key findings on the target to your client. And based on that report, your client will take in suitable action whether to invest in the company or not. So already Mr. Gopal has spoken through at large about the audit profession. So what is due diligence? The fundamental differences between due diligence and audit engagement. Due diligence is a complement to audit but not substitute. Due diligence will never start once the audit is not completed. So we need to rely on the audited financial statements. We need to ask management information systems from the client. So let me explain you the fundamental key differences of financial due diligence and audit. This will basically help you understand what exactly the work we do. The first point is rules and compliances. In an audited financial statements, you have a set report or a set template, and the audited financial statements are drafted in compliance with your corporate laws, in compliance with your standard audit report. You will have to kind of give an audit opinion. Audit is more about giving a true and fair view of the financial statements, ensure that there is no material misstatements or frauds, giving a level of comfort to the shareholders and other various stakeholders. Whereas due diligence does not abide by any rules or compliances. Due diligence report can be as customized as possible. It can be as short as 10 pages versus 200 pages, depending upon the level of scope that has been agreed with your client. Next comes the trend analysis. In an audit, you would do a trend analysis, you would do an analytical analysis as part of your audit procedures. But in financial due diligence, you would go way beyond, because in audited financial statements, you would see revenues, gross profits, net income, and what are the key costs. But you will not be able to see who are my end customers, what are the products that I'm selling to, what is my seasonality, what is my customer churn, what are the key underlying contracts that my revenues and costs are currently based out. So you would be performing deep dive analysis on various sales and various margins by product, by segment, by channel, by geography. All of this analysis will not be captured under audit. So we will typically rely on the management information systems and then take and slice and cut the various analysis. It doesn't end there. The moment you analyze, what is it about that analysis is talking about? So what? You have to understand so what and then address and give recommendations to your client. The quality of earnings. So quality of earnings, for some reasons, majority of the investors asks us for what are the sustainable level of revenues of the company? What are the sustainable level of profits? Because we will have to go through for the last 3 years or 4 years of historical information, understand the product composition, understand if there was any one-off revenue or one-off costs which is giving your profits, understand the level of sustainable EBITDA. So this is one of the key fundamental analysis that we would be doing. Your valuations are always based on your EBITDA multiples. So investor focus is always there on the quality of earnings. Working capital. As part of the transaction, a seller has to deliver a target working capital or retain certain level of amount in the business in order to run the business. Working capital, as you all know, you might have studied in your CA curriculum, DSO, which is days sales outstanding, days payables outstanding, what are your inventory days, what is the typical cash conversion cycle you have, is my working capital constant across the review period, are there any fluctuations between the months. If the business is highly seasonal, you will have to understand the implications of the working capital and then give adjustments to them. Again, most of the transactions are done based on the debt-free and cash-free basis, and you will have to adjust the enterprise value with the current loan that is sitting in the books of accounts. Forecasts. Audited financial statements will focus mainly on the historical numbers. You will always see comparatives between current year and previous year. But in due diligence, we also look at the forecasts. We challenge the assumptions. Like what are the historical growth rates versus forecasted growth rates? Is it sustainable? What is the level of capex that is being planned to deliver the envisaged growth in future? And audit and due diligences both are like universal practices, but audit sometimes have to kind of abide by the local tax laws, local corporate laws, whereas in due diligence it's a universal practice and which opens up even more global opportunities. Moving on. Why a career in transaction services? It is definitely a fancy and niche profile, and you will get to be part of the exciting transactions that are going to happen in the country. The salaries are very, very competitive. Although we are paid 10 to 20% premium in compared to other lines of services, the variable portion is also very high. And you will have an opportunity to grow very fast and with high energy levels. And you'll get to travel a lot. Of course, not in this pandemic situation, but yeah, I mean, I used to travel a lot. So what are the cons? What is the flip side to it? You are expected to work 50 or 60 plus hours a week at times, not all the times, but you will have to be flexible to that. And the moment you enter into that zone, your work-life balance gets hit. You're always under the pressure of delivering the reports under tight deadlines. Sometimes it can get you stress. And there is a deal fatigue. Some deals will not get closed even 4 months or 6 months or 8 months. And there's an immense peer competition for you to grow. And what are the key personal traits that you need to possess or that you need to have to sustain or to make your career successful in transaction services? Number one, you'll have to be very, very highly ambitious. you'll have to keep growing on a year-on-year basis. Although the expectation is to spend a 2-year or a 3-year at each grade, but you will have to demonstrate a highly ambitious attitude. You'll have to show high levels of tenacity and determination. You'll have to show high levels of commitment, saying that you are there. Your seniors, your partners should rely on you. Whatever you say, they should kind of rely on you. Attention to detail and good at numbers. Transaction services, it is one of the most important quality to have a detailed attention to numbers. You need to be really good at numbers, really good at analyzing, really good at crunching the numbers, because numbers speak stories in transaction services. And of course, it goes without saying, you will have to possess outstanding oral and written communication, because you are expected to interact with the CFOs, finance controllers of large multinational companies. And commercial awareness. You need to be aware of each industry that you pick up. You need to know the market insights of those industries. And lastly, negotiation skills. You need to be able to influence and convince others, and you need to have that trait of to get what you always wanted to. And how to crack a TS interview. It is slightly different from other conventional lines of services, I must say, because of my own experiences, because I had actually given interviews for audit, internal audit, tax, transaction services, everything. I personally found transaction services interviews to be slightly different. And it is of very highly important that you'll have to be very, very neat and very presentable. Your body language is taken account. You've been observed by them right at the moment you step into the reception. So there are like constant eyes on you, constant invisible eyes for you for them to kind of see how you present yourself, how you talk to your other candidates that have come for an interview. How do you speak to your receptionist? All of this is actually monitored. And during an interview, ask the follow-up question if you don't understand. Don't hesitate or don't assume things that, okay, this is what he's asking and this is what I'll have to say. And they will be given a case study to solve. And those case studies typically lasts for 2 to 3 hours. And once you complete that case study, you are expected to present the findings of those case studies to your managers or senior managers, identifying what are the key findings or key challenges or key observations that you have noted based on the case study. And you'll have to showcase absolute amount of confidence. Your body language should speak about it. And don't hesitate to say that I am not able to recall. And you are not expected to answer each and every question that an interviewer asks. Because as you know, the CA curriculum has the wide and vast syllabus. Suddenly they might pick up, okay, you tell me what is hedge accounting. You tell me what is IFRS 15, what is IFRS 16, what is IFRS 19. Of course, you have kind of knowledge and you have prepared for those examinations. But if you don't recall anything, please don't hesitate to say that you are not able to recall. It's absolutely fine. For every right answer that you answer, you will be given 10 brownie points. For every question that if you pretend to answer that you know, you will be given minus 20 brownie points. And if you tell them that I am not able to recall, I'm sorry, you will be given 5 brownie points. So it is absolutely important not to fake, be gentle, be polite, not only in interviews, even when you communicate with your clients, even when you communicate with your partners or your seniors. And it is very, very important for you to get your basics right. And there are a lot of jargon, lot of lingo in transaction services. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Google, search for transaction services profile, search for transaction services career. What are the typical questions that they ask? You need to be absolutely strong in your fundamentals and basics. Sometimes an interviewer want to test you by asking you questions which will make you panic. They want to ask you questions that are not comfortable to you, just to see how would you react. One of the examples would be, how would you weigh an airplane without scales? I mean, how would you kind of react to this kind of questions? The interviewer's mindset is not to gauge your aviation industry sector insights or anything. It's just to see your ability to think, how a candidate is actually responding to these kind of questions. So when you've been asked this type of questions, don't get panic. Don't have a in the typical case of this, what would you answer? You would actually ask counter questions to them. Okay, you just said airplane. What kind of airplane is this? Is it a cargo or a passenger? If it is cargo, what is the what is the model of that airplane? If it is a passenger, what is the seating capacity of airplane? You would basically tell them, ask them more questions, and then rationalize between saying that, okay, these are the fundamental assumptions that I'm thinking through, and obviously there is no right answer or wrong answer. It's just for you to gauge on the thought process and thinking process. This will actually demonstrate your attitude of how you kind of approach things when they get out of your control. So what is a typical career timeline and career switch options in transaction services? Mr. Gopal has already presented this in his slide presentation. I'm not going to talk much detail on this, but these three areas, these three levels are the sweet spots for you to make a career switch, because you really can't switch at the bottom level because you just joined then, and you really cannot switch your careers at the top level as well. It is not possible, but it is difficult. And what are the career options that you will have? You can jump to a private equity profile. You can join in investment banking. You can join in industry in their corporate and business development roles. You can join in any sovereign wealth fund as investment managers. You can join again in industry as an FP&A and strategy roles. Yeah, I mean, this is what I can think of for the career switch options. Yeah, over to you, Pradeep. I'm done. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are 30 minutes late. Sujit, just a quick question. One question was regarding how to crack interview, which you have answered. Four of the participants had asked. Another is regarding additional qualification. Whether CFA and or CIMA or any other qualification is compulsory for this field. So if you can quickly in the 30 seconds comment and...
Definitely, yeah. I think the first part is already answered. I had a separate slide altogether. I'll come to the second part. Yeah. Additional qualifications. I mean, what I would like to say is basically, just because you've cleared your chartered accountancy, don't think that this is the end of your life in terms of academics. Keep learning, keep pursuing. It might be a CIMA, it might be CFA or anything. I mean, it just adds value. I mean, don't think of the perspective that I will have to add more qualifications next to my name. Think of the perspective that I will have to learn new things, because the qualifications will really not matter to you. What matters more is your knowledge. Of course, having CIMA and having CFA will open up your abroad opportunities, definitely, yes. But mark my word, an Indian chartered accountant is recognized all over the world, and it is definitely on par with any other international qualifications.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will quickly request, thank you so much. I will quickly request Ranganathan ji to please propose a vote of thanks. And
yeah, it's a pleasure to propose a hearty vote of thanks to all our speakers. I feel today's session was perhaps the most important session of all the 6 days, because this question was there in the minds of so many people as to what are the opportunities abroad, as well as which sector they should choose as their career path. So to that extent, this session had really helped them, because they are in their beginning of their career. And then I would say that the takeaway of the session was that don't run after CTC, but identify your passion. If you identify your passion, if you work on that, then CTC follows. Then you will also not feel the tiresome of a work. So that's the takeaway. And I also particularly thank the speakers that they finished their session irrespective of the inconvenience that has been caused to them by being overstaying today. But then this also shows that it is their passion to serve the profession, to give back whatever they have gained from the profession. To that extent, from the committee's side, I'm extremely grateful to you all, and very, very happy for today's session. Over to Pradeep.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to Gopal, Nirlip, Rajiv, Jay, all are here. Thank you so much. And sincere gratitude and apologies for half an hour late. We have been always on time, but today it was a very heavy day. I said that more than 10 speakers. So thank you, participants. Sorry for being late. Tomorrow, the last day, do not forget corporate etiquettes and managing stress to live a healthy life. Very, very important topic in this world. You cannot miss this. And come with an aptitude to learn that. Because remember, since beginning I said there are a lot of resources available to check about how we prepare for this and that. If we will not focus on what we are being taught on that day, we may lose a great opportunity from great speakers. Come with that mindset tomorrow. Please do come, bring your friends, and see you tomorrow. Good night, stay safe, take care. Bye-bye.